Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto was son of fallen angel part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. It was early in the morning as many people in a suburban city of Ko were beginning their day. Many had happy or bad moods considering the morning since it was either going to good or bad. For one person, it was more dreadful than anything today since today was the first day of their new academy life. Walking along the sidewalk was a fairly tall, 5 feet 9 inches foot, fair-skinned 18-years-old teenage boy that had spiky blonde hair that had cheek-length bangs framing either side of his face with blue sapphire eyes. He wore an academy boy's uniform which consisted of a black blazer with white accents that was opened over a white, short-sleeve shirt, matching black pants, and brown dress shoes. The young teenage boy was Naruto Namikaze, the newest transfer student in Ko Academy. He was recently transferred to the academy by his guardian since he thought it was a good idea for him even though Naruto doesn't want to. Arriving in front of the academy gates, he quickly gained attention from all of the academy students, mostly from the female students which he is used to, that were trying to get to class before the late bell. Naruto is a very handsome young teenager, and while his clothing kept his body hidden from view, he has a lean, muscular, toned build that many young men would want, six-pack abs. As he walked into the academy building, his thoughts were running a mile a minute on his current predicament. He went to his assigned class where he was greeted by the female teacher where she told him to wait outside of class where she would introduce him. Alright class, before we begin with today's lesson I would first like to welcome new student. Please introduce yourself, Namikaze-san. The woman introduced as Naruto slid the door open and walked in towards the front of the classroom. Hello, my name is Namikaze Naruto. I hope we can get along, Naruto said as he introduced himself with a slight bow. Accepting the introduction, the female teacher looked back at her class. Thank you for the introduction, now where to seat you, where she scanned her class before finding a seat, there an open seat next to Himejima-san. The teacher pointed out. The moment Naruto heard that name, his mind instantly halted from everything else as his eyes scanned the room until he found who he was looking for. She was young pale-skinned beauty with a buxom figure. She has violet eyes and long black hair that was tied into a ponytail with an orange ribbon that was kept in place while two antennas that sloped backwards. Regaining his composure, Naruto thanked the teacher before heading towards his assigned seat. Sitting down, the young beauty turned towards him. She looked at him with a polite smile. Hello Namikaze-san, my name is Himejima Akino. Welcome to Ko Academy. Greeting him. Normally, Naruto would be pleased with the greeting, but he could tell from her eyes that she was looking at him with both rage and anger. It's a pleasure to meet you, to Himejima Akino, Naruto replied, where she him a curt nod before turning back to the teacher's already began lesson plan. Naruto sighed since of all the people he could have met today he didn't expect he would meet her again. I bet anything that he did this on purpose. I'm so going to kick his ass, Naruto thought as he tried to pay attention to the teacher's lesson plan. I'm so gonna kick that old bastard's ass. By the time I'm done with him, God wouldn't be able to tell his face from his spleen, Naruto thought as he made his way to his penthouse apartment. After suffering an entire day of classes, which felt like an eternity, he finally made it back to his leisure home. His time in the academy was interesting enough since he tried to avoid gaining attention, although it was impossible since all the girls in the school looked at him with mesmerizing or lustful looks. Even though he ignored most of the attention he gained, there were a few students that kept a careful eye on him. One was Rias Gramui, the heiress of the Gremory clan, who he heard from around the school was the academy's #1 beauty and Akino's best friend. With that in mind, there is no doubt that Rias was going to know about him from Akino. Entering his home, he dropped his backpack near the entrance where he went to the kitchen to get something to drink. As he got himself a soft drink, he could already sense that someone was in his living room, which he knew who it was. You have a lot of nerve coming here, old man, Naruto stated where he walked towards his living room to see his guest. The guest was man in his early 20s with black hair and gold bangs. He wore black pants and a dark purple shirt. Hey Gaki, how's the first day of school? The elder man smirked. Screw you, Uncle Azazel. Why the hell do I have to go to school? Demanded Naruto. Isn't it obvious? I sent you there so can have a social life. By going to school, you'll actually be able to have more of an active lifestyle instead of constantly training yourself, Azazel answered with a casual shrug that caused Naruto to get a tick mark on his head. Well, if you actually send me out on more missions like everyone else, then I wouldn't have that problem, Naruto shot back, where Azazel just placed an uninterested face as he picked his ear with his pinky. Like I said, you need to socialize more. Besides, I can't let you do every mission we have. How else will the other gain any experience? The old man asked with a shrug. I can understand that part. But why did you put me into that school? Asked Naruto as he looked at his guardian intently. What? Don't tell me you don't like the school. Azazel innocently asking Naruto, which earned him a glare. Oh, cut the crap. You know what I mean. You knew that she would be there, yelled Naruto, where Azazel grew a serious face. I believe that it's about time you two reconcile with each other. It's been what? 8 years? Azazel asked the young blonde, where he deflated. I would like nothing more to be friends with her again, but she clear wants nothing to do with me or with any of us for that matter, Naruto stated, remembering the look that Akino gave him earlier. He suddenly felt a hand on his shoulder and saw his uncle offering a sympathetic look. I know how you feel. I love Akino too. Like you, I saw her like she was like family to me. I miss the good old days when you, your parents, and I would spend our days having fun with her and her parents. It's been years since you two have spoken to each other. However, you shouldn't give up since you two were the best of friends when you were children. A friendship like that would never go away completely. She may say that she wants nothing to with you, but I know that there is still a part of her that still sees you as her friend, even if she doesn't want to admit it. Azazel explained, where Naruto remained silent after hearing his uncle's words. Naruto looked at Azazel straight in the eye. Do you really think that it's possible for us to be friends again even after all this time? Asking the older male in the room. Well, it's not going to happen if you don't try and talk to her, will it? Besides, if you're still worried about that, then don't. You've already mastered it from what I can see, so you shouldn't be afraid of it now. This is why I sent you to the school, since it's no better place to talk to her, since the both of you will have to act like normal students instead of supernatural beings. Azazel stated with a smirk, causing Naruto's eyes to widen. That's the real reason you enrolled me into that school? To help me reconcile with Akino? Asked Naruto in shock. You may believe that you hide it well, but I know for a fact that you've been missing her. Things have slowed down, so I thought this would be the best time to try and talk to her, he explained to Naruto, which caused him to smile. Huh, and here I thought you were doing this to just piss me off, admitted to Azazel, where he looked back at his guardian, only to feel a sense of dread when he saw the gleam in the man's eyes. So tell me, has little Akino-chan grew into a hottie like her mother? Azazek asked, where Naruto blushed as he remembered on what Akino looks like now. He couldn't deny that Akino has grown into a beautiful young woman, where any guy would be lucky to have her as girlfriend or wife. Naruto growled as he yelled at his uncle for being a pervert. I'll take that as a yes, Azazel said with a goofy grin on his face. This is truly one of my greatest plans. 2 childhood friends who used to be inseparable have been forced to drift apart from each other due to a tragedy that both suffered, only for them to reunite years later, where their bonds are reformed and romance blooms. Where he suddenly put his left arm over his eyes, crying anime tears, when Naruto's face continued to grow redder with each moment. Shut up. Get a life, you old pervert, shouted Naruto with an embarrassed look on his face. Oh, what's wrong? I thought you'd be glad for this since you used to have such a huge crush on Akino-chan when you were young, Azazel stately said with a confused look. And Nanny? What the hell are you talking about? The young blonde shouted with a fluster. Looking confused, Azazel looked at the young boy before he put on a smirk on a knowing face. Oh, I see, it's completely understandable, he stated. Understand what, you old pervert? Naruto asked warily. You're just not ready to settle down with one woman yet. Azazel nodded in a sage-like manner. Naruto face planted on the floor at his uncle's statement. It's perfectly understandable. Even though Minato was your father who was completely satisfied with just one woman, you're still very young who likes to explore the opposite sex a lot more. I should know since I was young as well, where I became quite the ladies' man. In fact, I've had a couple of harems in the past. All he said before Naruto gave him a punch in the face. I don't want to hear about your Playboy days, you pervert, Naruto shouted as his eyebrow twitched in annoyance. Oh well, enough fun with that. I just thought that sending you to school was something that both your parents would want you to do. Now, since I can see that you're alright after your first day, I can leave and attend a meeting, said Azazel as he goes outside to the balcony to take his leave. What meeting? Why wasn't I told about it? Naruto asked. Oh, it's just small stuff for the higher-ups only. There really is nothing for you to listen in, Azazel explained, which Naruto understood. Oh, one more thing. Getting Naruto's attention as he was on the balcony, there's someone in your school that I want you to keep an eye on. Naruto asked on who it was, which Azazel answered, Issei Hayadu. He's a second-year student that I believe to possess a sacred gear. Where Naruto to slightly widen his eyes a bit. Really? So what do you want me to do? Asking his guardian. Nothing much, just observe him, Azazel said before leaving. Naruto sighed as he couldn't believe the day he had. First he started off school, then met up with his childhood friend that despised him, and finally deal with Azazel's sacred gear obsession. He put everything in the back of his head as he decides to get something to eat. Ko Academy, a cult club. In Gothic-like room, several people were inside doing whatever activity they were doing. Among them was Akino, who was deep in thought, mostly about seeing someone from her past. Her thoughts were interrupted when she heard her best friend talk to her. You seem rather interested in this Namikaze Naruto, Akino. You've kept an eye on him all day. Why is it? Asked the redhead girl with bluish-green eyes. It's nothing. Namikaze-san was someone I knew a long time ago. Akino casually explained. Really? I don't think I've ever met him before. From Rias, since Akino was her best friend for years. She basically knew everyone Akino had met. You haven't, Namikaze-san and I used to be friends before I met Yubucho. The raven-haired beauty explained. Chances are that he knows that I'm a devil. At the very least, he knows I'm a supernatural being, she admitted. This got everyone by surprise, with Rias and the other two occupants in the room, a young short blonde-haired boy and blues eyes wearing the academy uniform for boys. The final member was a young girl with silver hair and hazel eyes. Really? How does Naruto-senpai know this? Asked the blonde boy. Since he was young, Namikaze-sen always had a high sensing ability. Heck, I couldn't even sneak up on him when we were young, Akino explained. If he knows you are a devil, then he'll know about the rest of us? Rias asked with a raised eyebrow. Akino was silent for a bit before answering her question. If he's anything like he was in the past, then he already knows. Even if he didn't, he's a smart boy when it came to things like this, and won't make assumptions until he has any evidence that proves if it's either right or wrong. Interesting, is he human? Rias curiously asking her raven hair friend. Akino looked at her friend as she answered her. Only half. His mother was a full-blooded human, taking a moment to let everyone digest the information. His father, though, is a fallen angel. That caused the room to go silent at the mention of a fallen angel, since fallen angels are their greatest enemies for a devil. The silvered-haired girl looked at Akino with a monotone look. Is he a threat? Asking with curiosity. Akino thought for a few moments, getting her thoughts together about it. She then looked at everyone. If you want my honest opinion, he's not a threat. If he's still the same as he was back then he won't strike unless he is strike first. Devils, angels, fallen angels, Namikaze-san doesn't care about that kind of stuff. Finishing explaining to them with a small smile on her face, since that was one of the things she liked about him. So we don't have to worry about him? The young blonde asked. Like I said, he will mostly likely leave us alone unless we make the first move, Akino replied. That's good to hear. For now, we will just keep an eye on him, but if he really isn't a threat, then we'll leave him alone, Rias said, where the others agreed with her. Just before the meeting could end, the youngest member of the group looked at her senior, Akino-senpai, with her emotionless tone. Yes, Kaneko-chan? Replied Akino. You said earlier that his father is a fallen angel. Who is his father? Kaneko asked. This got everyone's curiosity, since Akino hasn't told them on who's Naruto's father. Akino looked at them with a bit surprised look on her face before she smiled at them. I didn't say? Where the others shook their head negatively. Yufufu, how silly of me. Unfortunately, I don't remember who his father's name was, but I do know that he had only 2 sets of wings, Akino stated. Rias and the other nodded about it, still a little worried, but knew that it wasn't much of a threat to face since Naruto's father was a low-class fallen angel. Before they could relax, Akino did say something else that got their nerves shaken. But his godfather is Azazel, Akino finished explaining. That got them to worry a lot, since they know who Azazel was, where Akino just laughed to her hand as she brought it up to her mouth from the looks that everyone in the clubroom had. Ko Academy, roof. It's been 3 days since Naruto started attending Ko Academy as a senior student. He was currently lying on the roof, deciding to skip his last class, as he gathered his thoughts together on what has happened recently to him. First thing first, his thought about Akino. Not once, in the last 9 years, has Naruto forgotten about her, as he always wondered if she was alright, as well as remembering the promise he made to her, which he frowned about it. He could still remember the day that he first met her, closing his eyes as he recalled his memories. Flashback. It was early afternoon as a family of 3 and their single friend were heading towards a house that was located near a shrine. As they walked towards the home, a little boy, no older than 6 years old, followed his parents while curious about something else. Ka-chan, where are we going? the young boy asked. The boy's mother looked down at her little child with a smile on her face. The boy's mother was a young beautiful woman, early to mid-20s, with a slender yet feminine build. She has fair skin, violet eyes, and fiery red hair with strands that framed both sides of her face and a black clip that parts her hair to the left, keeping it out of her eyes. She wore a simple blue dress that made her look more attractive. Well, Naruto, we're going to see an old friend of ours. The young mother answered where she gestured towards her husband and Azazel, who walked alongside them with his hands in his pockets. A friend? Naruto tilting his head to the side in confusion. That right, an old friend of his met a woman where he moved here a while ago. They actually have a daughter about your age, said Naruto's father, pointed at the other adult where he rubbed his chin thoughtfully before a grin made its way on his face. I wonder if this visited would turn in the beginning of what they call childhood romance. Don't you agree, Minato? Said the man. Minato chuckled innocently while his wife formed a tick mark on her head as she gave their friend a punch on his skull. Azazel, my baby is too young to be getting involved with any girl, she shouted in her motherly tone. Minato looked sympathetic at Azazel where Azazel looked at Minato. You sure know how to pick them, huh? He remarked at him, where Minato said, Yup, that's my Kushina for you, smiling sheepishly. Naruto just looked at Azazel in confusion before looking towards his parents. Ano, what's a childhood romance? Kushina playfully smiled at her little boy as she answered him, It's nothing, sweetie, don't concern yourself over it, before glaring back at the man who stood up with shaky legs while rubbing on the lump on his head. Azazel shook the painful feeling on his before running back towards the family. Come on already, let's hurry up and meet Barakil. I haven't seen that idiot's face in quite a while, ever since he settled down a bit. I'm kind of curious to see on whose his wife is since she snagged him, Azazel said as he walked alongside the family, which Minato nodded his head in agreement, since he was curious, since Barakil's wife was also an old friend of Kushina's. After walking a bit more, they reached their destination, which was expected to see in a living corridor that was next to a shrine. Kushina knocked on the front door where everyone waited for the people living in it to respond. Waiting for a few seconds, the door opened to reveal a beautiful woman, about the same age as Kushina, who had long black hair and violet eyes. She wore a simple black shirt and jeans that showed off her figure. The woman smiled at knowing who the visitors are. Kushina-chan, how nice to see you again, she said with a bright smile as she stepped close to her and gave her old friend a hug. It's good to see you again, Shuri-chan, smiled Kushina as she returned the hug. Shuri then let them into the house where she looked into her home. Barakil-kun, they're here, she called out. Naruto looked at the lady since he has never met her before. He did know now that she was good friend with his mom if their smiles on their faces where anything is to go by. His attention turned to the heavy footsteps that were coming closer to them. When Naruto looked at who it was, his eyes widened in surprise. He was a middle-aged rough-looking man with black hair, matching beard and a muscular body. All in all, in Naruto's opinion, he was huge, easily the biggest guy he's ever met. The muscular man asked his wife, Who is it, Shuri-chan? Before looking at who was in the front door. His face turned to a wide grin on his face. Azazel, you old bastard. And you, Minato, you pretty boy, Barakil said happily as he grabbed both men into a bear hug. Naruto winced as he heard cracking and snapping sounds that came from both his father and Azazel's backs. NNICE to SSECYYUAGNB, Barakil said Minato as he struggled to breathe. Babarakov Keel, let us cough go, Azazel said through the sheer pain, and pain breathes as the muscular man let go where both men crumbled to the ground. Oh, sorry about that. The larger man sheepishly apologized to them while scratching the back of his head. He then noticed the young blonde boy who was trembling a bit from seeing the larger man almost splitting his dad and uncle in two. Who's the kid? He asked as he pointed at Naruto. Azazel suddenly jumped back onto his feet as if nothing happened, with a grin on his face while Minato slowly struggled back on his feet. Oh, that's right, this here is Minato and Kushina's boy, as well as my godson, Naruto. Go on, introduce yourself, Azazel said where Naruto looked at his father, who finally got back up and patted his son's shoulder to do so. Hello, my name is Namikaze Naruto, introducing himself with a light bow like his mother had taught him. Era, such a cute little boy, oh, and even though he has Kuchi's face, he definitely looks like Minato, Shuri said as she pinches Naruto's cheeks, which caused him to whine about it. Yup, just like his dad, he'll be a real lady killer, Azazel added as he shrugged towards Minato, who chuckled innocently about the comment. What about you? I've heard that you have a child of your own, Kushina asked as they moved towards the living room. The adults sat down on the couches while Naruto's attention went towards a nearby fish tank that was there, where he suddenly was entranced from it for some reason from the serene viewing. Shuri smiled brightly at the mention of her child before cupping her hands together. She then shouted out all around the house, "Akino-chan! Can you come down here for a second?" Pretty soon the adults heard the sounds of a small footprints coming closer to them until they saw a young girl, about Naruto's age, entering the living room. "Yes, Mommy?" asked little Akino, as she looked curiously at her mother. Akino was a cute little girl wearing a simple white dress. Akino looked just like her mother, long black hair, violet eyes. Her hair was tied in a ponytail that was held by a purple ribbon. She looked around as she was curiously wondered on who the three adults her parents were talking to. Shuri pointed the adults, "Akino-chan, I want you to meet our guests. This is Namikaze Uzumaki Kushina and her husband Minato. The one next to them is both your father and Minato's friend, Azazel." Where the three waved towards the little girl where their names were called out. Acting on how her mother taught her, Akino politely smiled before bowing at them. "Hello, my name is Himejima Akino. It's nice to meet you," she greeted them. "What a polite young lady," Kushina commented before turning towards her son, who was enthralled with the fish tank. "Naruto, come over here and introduce yourself." Naruto didn't respond at first where his mother called out to him again. Naruto just looked mesmerized. Hercules' Song of Faith. Naruto was so mesmerized that he couldn't hear his mother's voice. Instead, he heard a beautiful and gentle voice, whose song had surrounded him. Before he could do anything, he heard an elder man's voice. "From the earth comes a promised new life. From the winds our souls are passed. From fire darkness is turned into light. From the death of a pure divine a hero is born to take his place." And OST. His was suddenly shaken out of his thoughts when Kushina came to her son, where she nudged him a bit. Naruto blinked a bit before coming back to reality. He looked at his mother where he asked on what's up. Kushina looked a little surprised on the fact that Naruto was completely out of reality. She put that in the back of her mind as he told him to greet himself to Akino. Deciding to introduce himself like his mother instructed him to, he went towards the little girl without actually looking at her since his mind went on what heard just now. He bowed politely in front of Akino. "Hello, my name is Namikaze Naruto. It's nice to meet you." Naruto introduced himself before looking at her. When he saw her for the first time, he was completely caught off guard. He admitted to himself that she was a cute girl, where he innocently looked at his mother. Ka-san, is she an angel, or something?" Akino blushed a bit since Naruto just called her an angel, which was half true in a way. She just looked down as she took quick glances at Naruto since he called her an angel. The adults talked to each other about the comment that Naruto made to Akino, where Barakyle didn't seem too happy about it while his wife just smiled about it. As the adults talked, Naruto looked back at Akino, who just innocently looked at him. It was kind of awkward for him since Akino didn't stop staring at him. What is it? Why are you looking at me like that?" Naruto finally asked. You called me an angel," she quietly said. "Yeah, so," Naruto simply replied. "No has ever called me that," where Akino raised her hand and touched Naruto's cheek, where he blushed at the smooth touch she gave him. Kushina and Shuri looked at the scene where squealed at the cute sight. Azazel smirked while Minato smiled at the innocent scene. They both turned towards their friend, where they both were confused on why Barakyle was frozen in place at seeing the children acting like that. In horror, Barakyle asked with his body trembling, What is going on?" Azazel decided to have some fun at seeing his friend's reaction. "Well, from my point of view, it looks like your daughter has fallen for Minato's little boy's charms. I guess I was right, he's going to be a serious lady killer just like his father. You should be proud, Minato," Azazel said. Minato looked at Azazel, deadpanned. "Azazel, you shouldn't tease Barakyle like that. Besides, they're just children, it's alright if they're like this." "But you can't deny that he'll be a lady killer just like you," Azazel remarked. Minato only sighed since Azazel was right. He was a lady killer since he attracted so many women, even though he didn't show any interest in them until he found Kushina. Barakyle was far from happy. Even though Minato was right about children acting this affection since they were just innocent, he still grew into rage as he stood on his feet and pointed at Naruto. "How dare you woo my daughter, you no good bastard! Wait till I get my hands on Wyack," he said before being interrupted by a feeling of unimaginable pain in his groin. He looked down to see a foot had driven itself into his family jewels. He looked up to see the culprit, and saw the foot belonged to an angry Kushina. "Did you just call my baby a no-good bastard?" Kushina snarled, as her hair started to wave around like fire into the air. Now, Kushina may be human, but that didn't stop Barakyle from trembling in fear. No matter what kind of species you were, Nothing is more terrifying than an angry woman. It's even double considering if they were a mother to boot. Minato was going to try and calm his wife down but was stopped when Azazel grabbed his shoulder and shook his head no, where he then offered Minato some popcorn from the bowl that appeared out of nowhere. Minato sighed as he decided to join Azazel and watch the show. Shuri's eyes gained a mischievous gleam as a sadistic smile grew on her face as she prepared to enjoy the show. Naruto and Akino just looked in confusion at what was happening with the adults. Naruto shrugged at it where he then turned to Akino with a smile on his face. "Hey Akino-chan, do you want to play a game or something?" he asked where she blinked a few times as she smiled brightly at him. "Hi. Let's go play outside," she answered as she grabbed his hand and led him to the backyard. End flashback. Naruto's eyes slowly opened up as he sat back up. He smiled as he remembered the day he met Akino. He knew that even though Azazel teased him, he was right about one thing. He still has feelings for Akino. His thoughts were interrupted as his attention caught the noise of some giggling sounds. He decided to look, where he saw 3 male students looking through a window. He sighed as he heard the perverted giggling and could hear the lecherous noises. Really? This guy's supposed to have a sacred gear? Naruto thought. Issei Haidu, from what he heard about the guy, the only word that kept on turning up was pervert. He agreed with them since the kid continued to peeking in the girls' changing room or something. His mother had taught him to respect women, which he followed through. Deciding to teach them a lesson, he picked up the water bottle he had with him and directly poured its contents on the 3 perverts. "God, what the hell?" Issei shouted when the water soaked him. "And Nanny, who did this?" said one of his friends. It wasn't that long, since all 3 complained loud enough for the girls to hear them and exited the room where they spotted the perverts. Naruto moved away from the roof as he laid back down as he listened to the girls' fury and the painful screams of the 3 boys that were going on. His thoughts turned to Azazel since he asked him to watch over Issei because of the sacred gear he has. His thoughts stopped when he heard the door to the roof open. He looked towards the person to see that it was Akino. Nervously looking at her, he awkwardly greeted her, "Oh hey Akino-chan. Era, to call me with such an affectionate manner. How bold of you, Fufu," Akino said with a demure giggle as she covered her mouth with her hand. Right, so how have you been?" he asked uncomfortably. Akino took a moment to think as she tapped her chin with her finger before answering him. I've been good. I'm sure you're aware that the Gremry clan has taken me in when I had nowhere to go after my mother died." She answered him with a pleasant smile, but Naruto could hear the bitter tone in her voice. "Yeah, I heard about that," Naruto replied as he remembered the day when he heard the news. "You know you could have come to me and my family, right? We would have taken you in with us without hesitation," he stated. "And stay with the reason my mother died," she replied as his smile not falter in the least. "Akino-chan, you know it wasn't our fault," Naruto remarked. "Really, because from what I remembered it was my no-good father's fault. He knew how my mother's family felt about him being with her, yet he still left us to defend ourselves. He was the one who made so many enemies that they outnumbered us and killed her, while I barely escaped," she said as her smile never left her face but her eyes grew cold. "You making it sound like your father should have been there every minute of every day, but you know that's impossible. Barakal loved Aunt Shuri and he still loves her as well as you," he said, but she seemed to ignore his words. "And then there's you. You promised me that you would always be there when I needed you the most. And like any naive child, I actually believed you. Tell me, Namikaze-san, where were you when I needed you the most?" she asked as her smile left her face and looked at him with a frown. "Akino-chan, you have to believe me," he started but was stopped as Akino interrupted him. "I believed you once and look how that turned out. I ended up on the run as a young child and would have died if not for Bucho and her family," she said, shaking her head a little where Naruto sighed in frustration as he ran his hand through his hair. Akino shook her head a bit. "But I didn't come here to take a walk down memory lane. I came here because Bucho would like to speak with you." "Bucho?" Naruto replied with a raised brow. "Gremry Rias, the president of the Research Occult Club. Now if you would please follow me, I'll show you the way." Without waiting for an answer, she turned around and began walking away. As she was leaving, Naruto told her, "If she wants to meet with me, then tell her to meet me at the closest mall plaza located near the school by herself today," where he just let her walk away as he turned back to the scenery. Akino turned back to argue about it but saw that he was gone. She looked around where she couldn't find him, where she then decided to go and tell Rias about what he said. Later, Naruto, wearing his academy uniform, was sitting outside of a cafe restaurant that was located in the Plaza Mall. He sat on one of the tables where he had a cup of iced coffee. Ichi placed his backpack right next to his feet as he read a file of an old Grigori report mission. The reason he was reading an old mission report of the Grigori was because he was looking for certain types of clues that would lead him to the truth about his past, a past that involved his father. As he continued his research, outside the plaza, Rias was at the entrance with her peerage. She only came here because of the situation with Naruto, since he is a fallen angel, which required her attention. To make things more intense was the fact that Rias was irritated by how Naruto ignored her invitation to meet with each other here instead of her clubroom. Part of her mind could understand since she would too, but on the other hand it could be also a trap in a way. Before coming here, Rias had already planned out on how to proceed when talking to Naruto. She would go and confront Naruto with Akino by her side, since Akino has a history with Naruto which can turn things into her favor if she played it right. Kiba and Kaneko will stay hidden, yet keep an eye on the situation where they could go and defend their king while have a good way to take care of Naruto. Rias and Akino went in where they began their search on where Naruto was at. Kiba and Kaneko soon follow, but at different locations to keep things low-key. As all four walk in, Naruto can already sense Akino's life force where he can barely sense 3 more others. He guessed that Rias must have thought that this could be a trap. He sighed before he was hit by inspiration where he smirked. Alright, since you didn't follow my suggestion, then I make you follow it. I wonder how they'll both react when they are outclassed, thought Naruto. Naruto quickly put his things inside his backpack where he placed it on his seat. He went to the public restroom that was next to the cafe shop where he went in and began his little task. With Kiba. Kiba walked casually through the crowd where many young women caught him in their sight. He ignored their gazes since he was on mission right now, where he needed to be as secretive as possible since he might have to fight a fallen angel in order to protect Rias. As he moved along, he had no idea that he was being set up. Kiba moved through the crowd where he bumped into a man wearing a jacket and a cap that kept his face hidden. The hidden man apologized to him where he did the same. It didn't take long before a sudden shout behind Kiba alerted everyone. Kiba looked back to see a couple of young women whose blouses were undone by several thin strips of string. He looked to see several of them led to where he was, which he looked around himself. He found that all of them were connected to him by his pants on his right side where he grabbed it by his hand. Before he can think about it, he heard all the young ladies shout out, "You pervert!" Looking dumbfounded, he looked at the strings in his hand and at the young women who looked at him with both disbelief and rage. It was then a sense of dread washed over Kiba as a few of the young ladies' boyfriends came up to him, where he looked a bit panicky. Kiba would have tried to settle this peacefully, but then felt a hand behind him where a security guard was standing next to him. "Alright kid, come with me. I was given a report that a young pretty boy with bleached blonde hair was acting perverted around here. You're going to have to explain yourself at the detention center," said the guard. Kiba looked surprised and nervous since he was now being accused of not only disturbing the peace, but also being called a pervert. With Kaneko. Carefully weaving around the plaza, the young petite girl moved along in order to catch up with her king and queen. As she moved along, she got closer to a bakery where they were handing out samples. Deciding to have a bite, she took a few samples before continuing with her search. As she ate the samples, she was starting to feel drowsy and unbalanced. She ignored it as she continued to move forward. It wasn't until a few minutes later that she started to feel heated up for some reason to the point where she just had to sit down. She found a bench nearby where she sat down in order to get herself back on track. Unfortunately, the only thing it did for her was give her a comfortable place to take a nap. Plaza Cafe. Naruto came out of the restroom where he went back to his seat as he waited for Rias to arrive with Akino. He didn't have to wait for long since he can suddenly feel their gazes on him. Rias and Akino walked around a bit, wondering if Naruto just led them on some goose chase where Akino spotted him sitting outside a cafe shop. She informed Naruto where she focused on his surroundings. All around him, there wasn't any barrier or spell of any kind. The people walking around, near him, were just regular humans. Observing the scenery, Rias can see that Naruto indeed came alone where Akino also confirmed it. Both walked towards him while keeping their guard since they were still making contact with the fallen angel. Once they reached him, Naruto spoke up without turning his head around. "So, you finally came, Gremory-san, although you didn't come here by yourself," plainly stated. "Yes, well, I thought that it might be good company if I brought along someone else since many students from school come here. If I came here and sit next to you alone, they might think that we're in a relationship or something," Rias explained. You're probably right, although that doesn't inspire much confidence in me after all. You request my presence. And although I would normally respond to it, I don't intend to walk into a lion's den to do it. So I thought we could meet here in somewhere neutral in order to gain some trust. But it seems my trust has been unpaid," Naruto stated. Rias narrowed her eyes since he kind of insulted her since he came here by himself in order to show trust, while she came here with her peerage instead of coming here by herself. She regained her composure. True, but considering that Aquino was once an acquaintance of yours, I thought it would be nice for her to talk to you. Isn't that right, Aquino? Rias remarked. Hi, Bucho, smiled Aquino while playing along with Rias's play. I see. Well, I guess it's a good thing that I took care of your other two players out of the game then, Naruto stated. Rias and Aquino wondered on what he meant where they then heard the public announcement speaker. Well, friends of Udokiba, please come to the detention center. Well, friends of Udokiba, please come to the detention center. Rias and Aquino were now worried on what happened to Kiba before they heard a slight bang on the table. They looked to see Naruto, lazily placing his head on his right hand that was lying on the table, while using his left hand to tap the table with a small vial that had a clear liquid in it. I believe you should go and attend to that girl that is sleeping somewhere, and to take this with you since it's the only thing that would wake her up since the thing she ate would keep her asleep for the next 2 days. Naruto simply explained. It was then that Rias figured out on what had happened. In no time at all, Naruto simply took care of her small peerage without raising his power or using some kind of spell or something. Rias turned back to Aquino. Aquino, you go and help Kiba. I'll go and check on Kaneko. Where Aquino agreed. Before they could leave, they heard Naruto speak up to them. If you leave now, Gremory-san, then any talks you want will stop here. Rias looked a little peeved, but before she can retort, Naruto plainly said, why don't you let Aquino handle it since she can leave and handle the situation with the other two since the only person I want to talk to is you, Gremory-san. Here, use this on that Kaneko girl since it would take us several minutes before the contents of the vial will wake her up. Plus, it isn't safe to leave a young girl like that by herself now. Making Rias look at him with surprise. Rias figured out his game plan. He asked for her alone, which she didn't since she brought Aquino and her few peerage members. Naruto figured them out where he took care of the two of them, leaving only Aquino to help handle the situations by herself. And with Aquino no longer by her side, Rias was now alone in order to deal with Naruto, just like he wanted. The red-haired beauty bitterly agreed where Aquino took the vial and left to get Kaneko before helping Kiba. Now by themselves, Naruto started the conversation with her. Now Gremory-san, what is you wanted to talk to me about? Asked Naruto as he viewed Rias' figure. Rias looked a bit displeased about her current situation, but quickly regained her composure where she looked at Naruto with her smiling poker face. Yes, you see, I'm kind of curious about on why a fallen angel, of all beings, would come here in a devil territory? She asked. Honestly, I had no idea I was attending school or better yet, getting sent to a school that was in devil territory. Naruto honestly explained. Really? Rias replied, being a bit skeptic. Yeah, I had no intention of going to school at all, Naruto lazily said, taking a moment to sigh. That was until the old man threw me a uniform and told me to the academy that he directed me to. Naruto finished explaining. Old man? Rias curiously muttered out, and who is this old man, your father? She asked. Nope, Azazel, since unlike him I actually respect my father. Naruto replied. Azazel, huh? Rias muttered before smiling a bit. From what I heard, that sounds like something Azazel would do. Naruto then looked at Rias. So is that all you wanted to ask me? Yes, Rias quickly replied. We just wanted to make sure you were not a threat. With that settled, I'll take my leave since I need to regroup my peerage, Rias said with a smile. Naruto nodded before he quickly told her, thank you. Rias was curious on what he just said, which she questioned him about. Thank you for what? I didn't do anything for you, Rias remarked. It's for Aquino, thank you for taking her in when I couldn't. Naruto replied, where Rias can see it in his eyes that he still cares very deeply for her best friend. Rias smiled at him. Your thanks are unnecessary but appreciated. I don't know the history between the two of you, but I can see that you care for her. When Naruto nodded in agreement with her. Even though I'm curious, I won't pry because it concerns only the two of you. So, she hasn't told you? Naruto asked, earning a nod from the redhead. No, I wasn't even aware of your existence until yesterday, Rias explained. Naruto nodded since he doesn't know on what to say. Well, since our little meeting is over with, I'll be heading off, he announced. Very well. Have a pleasant evening, Rias said as she decided to head off to find her peerage. Before she can walk away, she heard Naruto, even though you don't know our past, I still know that you're curious. So I'll at least tell you this, but don't tell her about it. I promised her that no matter what that I would protect and take care of her. But getting Rias' full attention, Sometimes in order to keep a promise, you must sometimes go against what you want, and do what's right for the person you made it to. And it wasn't as I didn't want to find Akino, it's because I couldn't. Naruto explained, where he then started to walk away, leaving Rias dumbfounded in thought. To keep a promise, you must sometimes go against what you want to do what's right for the person you promised to. What could that mean? Also, he did want to find Akino, no he wanted to, but couldn't it? Could something have happened to him that prevented him from going after her? What could it be? Rias questioned as her curiosity was piquing. It was around this time that Rias spotted her peerage coming towards her, where she decided to honor Naruto's request on not telling Akino about what he just said to her. She saw that they were coming from the direction that Naruto was leaving. Naruto had his backpack over his shoulder, where he saw Rias' peerage with Akino walking behind them. Naruto moved around the two while Kiba and Kaneko looked a little upset at him since he took them out without even trying. He then walked closer to Akino, where she simply kept her demeanor. As they were about to pass each other, Naruto stopped where he spoke to her. Akino-chan getting her to stop, where her attention was now towards him, while Kaneko and Kiba continued to walk further away from her, not knowing on what's happening. I know that you want to ignore me, forget about me, be angry at me, you can even hate me for all eternity, but know this, keeping his face away from her, no matter what, I still consider you my most precious person. If you ever need anything, even if it's of last resort, don't hesitate to call. Naruto finished telling her on what he still felt about her. Akino turned around, eyes slightly widened, where she saw Naruto once again continue his leave. Kaneko and Kiba looked at their king to see she was seeing something behind them. They turned to see that Akino was further away, where they saw her looking at Naruto's destining back. They then saw Akino turn back around, walking towards them with her usual smile plastered on her. Rias decided to regain both Kaneko and Kiba's attention, since the relationship between Naruto and Akino is private to them. As she explained on what happened, Akino had her own thoughts, where unbeknownst to everyone else she lowered her head that shadowed her eyes. She bit her lower lip as she remembered Naruto's parting words to her. No matter what, I still considered you my most precious person. She remembered hearing those same words before when she was young. Don't worry, Akino-chan. You're my most precious person, I'll stay by your side and protect you. That's a promise of a lifetime, I never go by on my word. Hearing those words from so many years ago, Akino truly believed them. Of course, when the time came, those words came along with the questions. Where was he when her mother died? Where was he when she was all alone with nowhere to go? These were questions she once wanted an answer to, but now she didn't want to know. She made her decision years ago and would stick with it, which she believed it was the right thing to do. But the pain that her heart was now giving her made her bring a new question. Why did it hurt to see him walk away from her? Night. In an abandoned church lay Naruto on top of the roof. As he laid on the roof, looking out on the moonlit skies, his thoughts turned to the conversation he had with Rias. After his conversation with her, Naruto continued on with his school life, where he met up with Akino a few times but never got a real chance to talk to her. And when he was able to have some words with her, she would respond with a few curt words before going on her way. But even though it was short, he can tell from his encounters with her that she was deep in thought about something. He decided not to pry into them since it was something she needed to deal with herself. His mind then turned to his mission that Azazel gave him, the mission that involved Issei Haida. Following his orders, Naruto had kept an eye on the second-year student, which he quickly got bored from it since it always ends up the same thing, his affections towards breasts. Seeing the boy making comments about breasts every time with his friends, or seeing him peep on and get beat up by girls, eventually started to annoy him. Of course, he did learn something about the kid which made it somewhat easier for him to watch over. Issei Haida didn't like him. He can guess that it had something to do with him getting the majority of the academy girls' attention, especially after the last couple of days he did his training exercises and such. Flashback. It was early morning as the students in Ko Academy began to enter the school for another day of lessons. But for those that came early, they began their day training on their athletic abilities such as running or other sporting events. Naruto is one of these people where he did both his kung fu and Shaolin training. He has been training in the martial arts for the past 10 years, where many would see that he's a black belt. There was a reason on why he trained in the martial arts. His main focus is so he can continue to get stronger, both physically and spiritually, since he wanted to find out the truth about his father, which was still a great mystery. Currently, Naruto was practicing in an open area near the tennis court while wearing only a large sleeveless black tank shirt, baggy cameo pants and sneakers. Naruto has been in Ko Academy before sunrise, where it showed given the damp sweat that covered his shirt. He was so focused on his training that he didn't notice the group of his female admirers that were gazing on him with either admiration or lust. His admirers looked upon him as a very dedicated individual who was honing his skills. Those who were lusting over his training wondered on what his body felt like, since he had a body that any woman wouldn't mind on feeling it with their hands. 300 The movie. As his female admirers looked on, there were those that eyed him with different reasons. One was Ria, since she can see that Naruto was indeed a strong individual given how well-toned his body is. She even admitted to herself that she even found him attractive. Akino, who stand next to him, also had the same thought that Rias has, while she remembered that in the past, she would catch Naruto practicing his karate lessons. Finally was the male students who saw Naruto's training getting the female student body's attention. Among them was Issei, where he and his friends along with many other guys looked at Naruto with hatred or jealousy since Naruto was getting all the action. End flashback. At the end of the day, he saw many guys trying to show him up, where he either pranked them or he would ignore them completely while also getting letters for dates and such. He put his thoughts about his academy life in the back of his head when he felt a familiar presence approaching him. When the presence was close enough, he stood up, dusting off the imaginary dust off his pants. About time you got here. I was beginning to think you stood me up, Mai-chan. Greeting the person that was now behind him. TCH, quit complaining, I'm right on time. It's your own fault that you decided to get here earlier than needed, said a feminine voice. Naruto turned to acknowledge his companion/friend. Mai is an attractive, medium-tall, young woman who was a year younger than him. She had honey-color eyes and long brown hair with long bangs that framed the sides of her face, tied up in a thick, long ponytail which flowed down to her lower back. She wore a tight pink/violet belly top and skinny capri jeans that showed off her buxom figure, 95/57/90. We have an official assignment, so you can at least pretend to care? Mai said while rolling her eyes. Don't start with me. I've been itching to go as much as you are, maybe more. I've only been in school for a week and it feels like it's been years. Naruto complained, which caused Mai to smirk. Oh, that's right, I nearly forgot. I must admit I almost died of laughter at the idea of you sitting around in a classroom doing schoolwork, she said in a mocking tone as she watched Naruto's eyebrow twitch. Sighing a bit, Naruto looked at his companion. Can we not talk about it? So, what's our assignment? He asked. You mean you were assigned a mission by that pervert, and you don't even know what it is? Mai deadpanned. Don't look at me like that. That old slouch just told me to be up here at this exact time and I would get a mission, Naruto explained with a shrug. Mai just shook her head and sighed, where she wondered the dynamics between godfather and godson were a bit too much for her to understand, though she admitted to herself it's amusing at times. She reached into her pocket and pulled out an envelope that she handed to Naruto. Here, Azazel-sama taught me to give this to you before the mission started. It must contain the details, she explained to him. Naruto opened the envelope, pulled out the letter, then began to read it. Hey brat. I know by now that you must be getting a bit anxious since starting in the academy. So I thought I would give you a simple mission to relieve some of that. Now don't worry about school. I have already handed a letter to the faculty saying that you'll be gone for a few days. If anyone asks, just tell them that you left town to take care of a sick relative. Now, the mission, as I said, is simple for you. We have just found out that someone in our ranks has betrayed us. Mizuki has just run off with classified information about the Grigori. He hopes to offer this to the angels in order to get back into God's good grace. I want you and Mai to locate and eliminate him. Good luck. So, we've got a traitor, huh? Mizuki? I met him a few times, but I never thought he would have the balls to pull something off like this, Naruto commented as he pocketed the letter. I don't think anyone did, but that doesn't change the fact that he is now our target, Mai added. Guess we better get started, Naruto stated as 2 pairs of black wings sprouted from his back. Let's go. Mai nodded as 2 sets of wings sprouted from her own back, but they were a bit different from Naruto. Her wings were devil wings that, in certain areas, were covered in black feathers. Mai was an oddity in the Grigori group since, like Naruto, she was only half fallen angel, but unlike him, she was half devil from her mother's side. Her father is one of the high-rank commanders in the Grigori group. In fact, her father is second in command. Her father, Shemhazai, is a fallen angel with 10 wings, who was also good friends with Naruto's father, Minato. So, how's Uncle Hazai? Naruto asked as they headed off to complete their mission. He's good, though he still hates it when you call him that, Mai replied, which caused Naruto to grin mischievously. I know, that's why I call him that, he stated, causing Mai to roll her eyes but smiled a bit. So, why don't you tell me about your time in Ku? She asked, that caused Naruto to groan in annoyance but relented. Grigori Base, Azazel's office. Currently sitting in his desk, Azazel is reading through some files. After learning about Mizuki's betrayal, he was doing a background check on almost every fallen angel that he contacted in to make sure he didn't have any accomplices. As he typed away on his computer, he heard someone knock on the door. "Come in," he called out, not even looking up from his screen. The door opened and closed after the person entered, where footsteps could be heard as they moved closer to Azazel's desk. He finally looked up as he heard the footsteps stop, where he smiled on who it was. Standing before him was a young woman with long black hair that fell to her hips and dark violet eyes. Her outfit was very interesting, to say the least. Her outfit consisted of black, strap-like objects, resembling leather, around and under her breasts, a thong-like piece held around her hips by 3 thin straps, gloves that ran right up her arms with small lengths of chains hanging from them, shoulder guard-like objects on her shoulders with 3 large spikes sprouting from her right shoulder, and black thigh-high heels boots. "You wanted to see me, Azazel-sama?" she asked. "Yes, I did, Rainier. I have a mission for you." Azazel started, causing the now identified Rainier to perk up, which didn't surprise him. Azazel knows that Rainier was one of the most dedicated members of Grigori. She was dedicated on proving herself to everyone and advanced through the rankings of the fallen angels. "What is it, Azazel-sama?" asked politely. "I'm sure you are aware that my godson's sudden absence," he said, causing Rainier to raise a brow. "I guess a better way to describe it is that he's on an undercover mission. I had him attend high school as an ordinary senior student so he could observe a human student named Issei Hayato. I have reason to believe that this boy is in possession of a sacred gear, a powerful one at that. But we haven't been able to confirm it yet," he explained. "I see. Is this human sacred gear a threat to us? I can't really think of any other reason that you would send your godson to school unless he was one," Rainier questioned. "Not necessary, but if left unchecked then it could become a threat to all 3 factions, not just the fallen angels. As for sending my godson in a way? Well, I thought it would be pretty amusing to see him struggle through school, even though I doubt it," he admitted with a bit of a smirk, while thinking about Naruto's inheriting his father's intelligence. Rainier had to bite her lower lip in order to hold the chuckle that wanted to escape. She wanted to remain professional in front of her leader, but the idea of Naruto being stuck in a school was amusing. "I see, but I don't see where I come into this," Rainier wondered. "I'm sure you've heard about Mizuki's defection, right?" he asked, earning a nod from his guests. "I have sent my godson to track and eliminate him. While he's away, I want you to take his place and observe Issei Hayato." "I see," Rainier mumbled a bit. While she didn't hate school as much as Naruto, she couldn't deny that this was boring. Plus, she was basically being told that she would be babysitting some human boy she'd never met before. Seeing her reluctance, Azazel decided to pull out his trump card. "If you would do this, not only would it help me, but it would also help out Naruto as well." With a smirk, since he knew that many young female fallen angels were trying to get close to Naruto since he was one of the most attractive male member, as well as one of the most promising in the Grigori. Mentioning Naruto's name did the trick because the frown on Rainier's face immediately lifted where she blinked a bit before sighing. Azazel knew he won, since if Rainier wasn't trying to raise her ranks then she was trying to please and impress Naruto. Fine, I'll do it. Is that all, Azazel-sama?" she asked, where the leader of the Grigori thought about it before shaking his head. "No, that's all," he said, causing her to nod. "Very well, I'll be on my way," she said, bowing before leaving Azazel's office. Once she closed the room behind her, Azazel looked back at the computer screen in front of him. "All right, now with that taken care of, time to get back to work. On the off chance Mizuki is able to hand off the information, we'll need to step things up a bit," Azazel thought as he reached into his drawer. He pulled out 2 plain-looking folders and placed them on his desk. One of the folders had evil pieces written across it, while the other had brave saint written across it. Cracking his knuckles, he opened the folders and continued his research. 2 nights later. It was night as Naruto and Mai tracked Mizuki at an abandoned warehouse before sighing in annoyance. "Really? He's here? Why does he have to be so cliché? I mean, really, what is it about abandoned warehouse that is so appealing that make people always feel the need to hide out in? Should you really be talking? We usually use abandoned churches as bases," Mai pointed out. "Churches aren't warehouse," Naruto shot back. "You have an answer for everything, don't you?" Mai asked sarcastically. "I try." Naruto shrugged before looking back at the warehouse. "Let's just get this over with." "Why? Do you have a test to study for?" she taunted. "Not really, it's more like a boring subject that I already studied before," Naruto replied. "That's got be boring," Mai remarked. "You have no idea," Naruto muttered where he stalked towards the building as Mai closely followed. They paused at the door where Naruto debated on which way to approach. He shrugged as he decided to go for the direct approach. He kicked the door down, which it crashed onto the ground. The sounds of collision echoed through the building. So much for subtle. Mai muttered as she followed Naruto inside. Mizuki, where are you? Come out wherever you are, you bastard! Naruto shouted out as he cupped his hands around his mouth. Do you really think someone on the run would really be that stupid that they would reveal their hiding spot? Mai asked incredulously. So Azazel decided to send two brat after me, huh? A voice shouted from the room that caused Mai to gape. Like I said, he's really cliché. The few times I met him, he never passes off a moment to gloat, and this is no different. He would gloat like a villain in a situation like this. Naruto casually explained before the two jumped apart. Embedded in their previous location were a few shurikens made out of green light. So, you were able to dodge that, huh? Then, why don't you try this? Mizuki shouted out as another wave of green light shurikens soared through the air from another direction. Naruto rolled his eyes as he shifted his body around to dodge Mizuki's attack. Is that all you can do? Attack from the distance while you hide in the dark? No wonder you defected. A coward like you has no place among us, taunted Naruto. Don't be so rude, Naruto. He can't help it if he's such a scaredy cat, Mai added. Shut up! Mizuki roared throughout the room as he jumped out of his hiding spot to reveal a middle-aged man with shoulder-length silver hair. He was wearing a sleeveless green shirt and light blue jeans. See, what did I tell you, Mai-chan? He's such cliché character. Taunt the guy a bit, calling him a coward, and what does he do? He comes out into the open to try and proves us wrong, Naruto said with a smirk. Okay, I admit. I apologize to you, Mai replied. Stop mocking me, you brat. We'll see who has the last laugh when I kill the two of you, Mizuki roared as he raised both his arms up with his hands opened. Suddenly, two large shuriken made of green light appeared before tossing them at the two fallen angels. Is this all he can do? Mai asked, looking bored as she sidestepped out of the way while Naruto caught the other shuriken with his bare hand, shocking Mizuki. Taking the opportunity, Mai created a spear of white light where, without hesitation, she threw it at Mizuki, where he screamed in pain as it pierced his leg and kept going until it stabbed the ground, pinning him in place. Why on earth did Azazel-sama think it would take the both of us to take him down? Mai wondered out loud. I don't know and I don't care. Let's just end this, Naruto said as he raised his hand, that had the caught green shuriken, where he sent it back at Mizuki, sticking it on his head where he dropped dead. That was easy, Mai commented as she created another ball of light before throwing it at Mizuki's remains, incinerating it to ashes. Yash, mission completed, Naruto said after checking to make sure nothing of Mizuki remained. Then I guess the only thing left is to return to base and report to Azazel-sama, Mai said, earning a groan of annoyance from Naruto. Do we have to now? Let's just find a place to stay for the night and report in the morning? It's late, Naruto whined. Absolutely not. We're supposed to report back as soon as possible after completing the mission, frowned Mai. Oh, come on. The old man won't care about it. If it would make you feel better, we can tell him that it took a bit longer than expected, Naruto suggested. He really wanted to sleep right now and didn't feel like traveling or giving some report at this time of night. He would use his own special technique to go home, but he would only use it for emergencies only or in high-rank battle. Are you trying to tell me that you want us to lie on our mission report just so you can get some sleep? Mai asked, glaring at him, but he didn't seem to notice. Yes, Naruto instantly answered. Is it that unreasonable? Yes, Mai shouted, smacking him in the back of his head. Honestly, how can you be so irresponsible? She asked while massaging her temples. It was silent for a few seconds before Naruto spoke up. So are we going to find a place to sleep in for the night? Mai said no, which Naruto continued to pester his friend before she finally agreed because of his childish behavior. After their little debating, Naruto and Mai looked for a place to crash for the night. During the time, he held a grin on his face since he loved to annoy his friend so much. Her reactions were always entertaining, and the best part? He gets another day off from school. A day earlier, Issei Hayate couldn't believe on what happened. Recently, he was asked out on a date by a really cute girl he has never seen before. Given who he was, he jumped at the opportunity to get a girlfriend and said yes to date with her. Yuma Amano, that was the girl who asked him out, where it seemed like they were getting along great. They spent the day talking, laughing, and Issei was confident that his first date was turning into a big success. They decided to end the date at the park as they watched the sunset. That's when things turned downhill, where it all started when she asked him a question. Would you die for me? And that's where things changed. The sweet girl who was standing before him suddenly transformed. Her outfit changed from a black dress and light purple top into a revealing dominatrix-type outfit. But the most distinctive features were the black wings that sprouted from her back, where the next thing he knew he was stabbed in the stomach with a strange spear of light. He had no idea that this was how his day would end, but here he was now, lying in a pool of his own blood. "Thanks for the date," Yuma said before flying off into the sky. "Is this really how I'm going to die?" Issei thought as he coughed up more of his blood. He weakly raised his hand. OTC, it was drenched in blood. All this blood, it's so red, just like Ria-senpai's hair. He thought while thinking about Ko Academy's #1 beauty. "Ria-senpai, if I'm going to die, I wish it was nestled between your breasts." He closed his eyes as his life slowly drained out of him, so he didn't see a glowing circle appear on the ground near him. The circle's glow increased until Ria's Gremory appeared out of it. She looked around and frowned when she saw that Issei was almost at death's door. It looked like he still had a bit of life in him, but wouldn't last long before he succumbed to his injuries. "So the fallen angel was able to get to you," Ria said sadly, "but I can't help but wonder if Naruto is somehow involved in this." If she were honest with herself, she would say no. From what she heard from Akino, this was not something he would do, and the brief conversation she had with him only furthered that thought. But still, she couldn't help but be a bit suspicious. Naruto, a fallen angel, just shows up around the same time she notices Issei. Then he doesn't show up to school for a few days, where another fallen angel comes and does this. She quickly shook those thoughts away, where she brought her attention back to Issei's condition. She decided to think about Naruto later, since right now, she had someone to recruit into her peerage. After her attack, Rainier flew through the night sky until she reached her destination. Unlike Naruto, she doesn't have an apartment somewhere in the city, so she was staying at an abandoned church. The moment she entered, she was greeted by the sight of 3 other fallen angels. "How'd it go?" one of the girls asked. She was a young, tall, buxom woman with long navy blue hair that obscured her right eye and had brown eyes. Her outfit consisted of a violet, trench coat-like top with a wide collar, matching miniskirt, and black-heeled shoes. The trench coat top was opened at her chest, giving view to her cleavage. She also wore a gold necklace around her neck. "I took care of it, Calawarner," she answered. "So you killed him?" another girl asked. She had blonde hairstyle and twin short side ponytails with a large black bow on top and blue eyes. She wore black Lolita dress with white frills, a large black bow on the front, and a green jewel embedded on the collar, white thigh-high socks, and black shoes. "Yes," Rainier simply answered. "Was that the right choice?" "You were told to watch him," Calawarner reminded. "True, but we couldn't forget about his sacred gear." The boy was very simple-minded. Any of the other factions could have easily tempted him by just mentioning breasts to him, and he was too easily manipulated, so he would have done more harm than good if he joined our group. It was safer to get rid of him now before the other factions could get a hold of him. Rainier explained. "I suppose so, but if Azazel-sama is displeased with this, then I'm blaming you," Calawarner said. "Relax, Calawarner," said the only male of the group. He was a middle-aged looking gentleman with short black hair and dark blue eyes. He wore a pale violet trench coat over a white dress shirt with a matching ascot, black pants, black shoes, and a black fedora. "I'm with Calawarner on this. I don't want to get in trouble either," said the blonde girl. "You too, Middled?" said the man, rolling his eyes before smiling at Rainier. "Don't worry, Rainier, I'll stand by your side no matter what." "HM." Rainier hummed, not really paying attention to him, causing him to hang his head in defeat. Donasek sucking up to Rainier. "Why am I not surprised?" Calawarner said sarcastically. "It's because he's in love with Rainier, but she doesn't pay any attention to him," Middled said, hopping up and down, earning a glare from Donasek. "If he was more like Naruto-sama, then maybe she would pay attention to him." At the mention of the blonde fallen angel, Donasek scowled hatefully. "Speaking about Naruto, what are we going to do about him?" Calawarner asked as she looked at Rainier. "What do you mean, what are we going to do about him? Why do we have to get him involved in this?" Donasek asked bitterly. "Because when he returns and finds out that the kid he was supposed to be watching over is dead, he'll want answers, don't you think?" explained the blue-haired woman. "You're right. I have no idea when he's supposed to return, so I guess I'll have to wait here so I can tell him on what happened." Rainier sighed while also thinking on how she can try and get closer to him. "TCH, why do we have to tell that bastard anything?" Donasek sneered. "Because he's the boss godson," Middle answered. "He's a higher rank than us," Calawarner added. And this was originally his mission. Rainier finished explaining where Donasek tried to think of something to say but couldn't, so he turned away with a scowl. Rainier sighed as she saw Donasek walk away. Whatever, I guess all we can do is now wait, she said. A day later, Ko Academy. Naruto was resting on a bench as he was deep in ill. The reason was because something had happened while he was gone, something that he was able to figure out. Flashback. What do you mean you don't remember her? Naruto heard someone shouting as he walked up a set of stairs at Ko Academy. Looking up, he saw that it was Issei Hayata who was yelling at his two perverted friends. How can we remember someone we've never seen before? One of the perverted trio asked with a shrug. If you're going to lie, then you may as well make it more believable. There is no way that you could have gotten a girlfriend, the one with glasses added. What do you mean you've never seen her before? I introduced you to her yesterday. Here I have her number and email address, he said as he opened his cell but paused. What the where is it? He silently muttered out. It was at the moment that Rias walked by and her eyes landed on Issei for a few seconds before narrowing them when they landed on Naruto. To him, it looked like she was trying to figure out something about him, but what? She already knew he was a fallen angel, so what was she trying to find? Without as much as a word, she walked by them as Naruto stood there trying to think if he imagined things. End flashback. Was I just imagining things? Naruto asking himself. And then there's Issei. The look on his face says he was telling the truth about this girlfriend, but no one seems to know this Yuma person. But the really problem would be on why I sense Issei as a devil, instead as a human being. What has been happening when I was away? Thinking out loud. Era, you know what people say about talking to yourself, it is a sign of insanity, said a familiar voice that Naruto wasn't surprised to hear. Or sign of genius, since there's a thin line between insanity and genius, Naruto replied back to Akino as he turned to look at her. So what can I help you with, Akino-san? Asked Naruto with a bit of hesitation. Bucho was just curious about something, she asked as Naruto raised his brow. Then why didn't she come here to ask me herself? Confusingly asked Naruto before backtracking. Not that I don't enjoy your company or anything. While thinking, despite how awkward and tense it could be at times. Akino looked at him straight into his eyes as she'd asked him. She wanted to know if you had anything to do with the fallen angel that killed Issei Hidadu a few days ago. Nani? Naruto simply replied, dumbfounded. So you don't know? Akino asked, tilting her head. No, I just got back to town yesterday evening. Wait, you said that Issei died but he was here in school. Wait, did Rias resurrect him into her peerage? That would explain on why he felt like a devil than a human when I saw him, he asked Akino as he wondered the possibility. Akino was caught by surprise by Naruto's analytic skill on figuring out on what Rias done to Issei. She decided to tell him on what happened with Issei. You're right. Bucho did resurrect him after his date with a girl that was a fallen angel. Her name was Yuma Amano, where at the end of her date, she stabbed him through his stomach with a light spear and left. It was around that time that Issei unknowingly summoned Bucho, where you figured out the rest, she explained. Naruto thought out to himself, Yuma Amano, huh? That probably a fake name since I don't anyone by that name. Era, it seems that you really weren't involved with Issei's death, Akino commented. Since Issei was now part of Rias' peerage, there wasn't any point for him to hold back the information he knows about him, where he decided to tell Akino. Alright, since this is all out in the open, I'll be honest with you. Azazel had a feeling that Issei has a very powerful sacred gear and wanted me to keep an eye on him. He believed that he could have been a danger to him and everyone around him, including the three factions, if he wasn't left alone. Naruto explained, causing Akino to nod. I see, well, that was what Bucho wanted to know, so I will see you tomorrow at school, Namike-san, Akino said as a magic circle appeared beneath her feet, where she disappeared before Naruto could say a word to her. Yes, he later muttered to himself. Even if she was forced because of Rias' order, we're at least talking to each other. He closed his eyes, where he decided to investigate about what he just learned. He decided to go and find the fallen angel that caused this little stir-up. Chances are, I'll find the person over the nearest abandoned church. If not, fine, then I'll have to look all over the darkest parts of town, Naruto said to him as he stood up and stretched out his wings before taking flight. ORC, Occult Research Club room. Rias was sitting in her chair as she looked over some information that were laid down on her desk. With her, Kaneko was sitting on one of the two sofas in front of her, eating some cake. As Rias continued to investigate on why there are more fallen angels in the city, she suddenly saw a magical circle appear in front of her before Akino stepped out of it. Akino, so did you talk to Naruto-san? Was he involved with Issei's attack? Rias asked. Well, Bucho, it appears that Naruto-san wasn't involved with it since he had very strict orders on not attacking Issei, just to observe him. Akino told her king. Really? Just to observe? Questioned Rias. Hi, it appeared that Azazel was worried that Issei has a very powerful sacred gear. One that would have been dangerous to the three factions if it were left alone. Akino replied. I see, since Naruto was there to just observe, he probably would have left him alone and only interfered if any other of the three factions or some other group tried to persuade him with something. Rias commented to herself. So with that situation with Naruto-san settled, what's your next move, Bucho? Akino asked. Well, we are going to have to introduce our newest member to our group tomorrow, Akino. Rias replied with a smile where the raven-haired woman nodded. The business with Naruto settled with, Akino had mixed feelings that she tried her best to keep hidden from her king. One was that she hoped that Naruto would leave Ko since she doesn't want to see him ever again. While another hoped that Naruto would stay close by even if she despised him. She just couldn't make up her mind on why she still cared for him even though he wasn't there when her mother was killed or when she was left alone. Night, next day. Naruto is flying freely in the moonlit sky as he headed towards the closest abandoned church. He would have investigated the problem yesterday evening, but he was forced to hold it off since he had to do some studying for a test earlier in the day. With him being freed from studying, he went out when the sun completely set where he flew towards his destination. Upon finding the abandoned church, he let out his senses where he sensed the presence of 3 low-class fallen angels. He gently landed in the front of the church building where he then pushed the doors open to get inside. Upon entering, he found the church was the same as other abandoned churches, torn up, left uncared for and such. He walked through the corridor, as the moonlight that came through the open windows gave the place a somewhat ominous atmosphere. Personally, he didn't care since he found the setting useless, especially since he's been scared by something even worse than this abandoned church, or any type of fear factor that came at him, his mother's rage and punishments. Walking up towards the altar, he stood there for a bit before he shouted out to the once sacred building, "All right. Enough hide and seek. Come out now. I know that you're all here." It didn't take long where 3 figures suddenly fell from the ceiling and landed around him. "Welcome, Naruto-sama," Reina said as she bowed on one knee in front of him, the same with Middle. Danasik stood up and just glared at the boy in front of him since he didn't like seeing Naruto's face. Naruto turned around to see his fellow member where he recognized them. "Rise up, unlike Azazel, or any of the other higher-ups, you don't have to bow to me," Naruto simply stated. Middle just bounced around a bit before she sat on one of the benches while Reina stood up and acted professionally but could see a small smile and a hint of pink on her cheeks that indicate she likes seeing Naruto in front of her, especially on what he's wearing. Naruto was dressed in a black shirt under a black jacket with golden lining around the hems and gray pants with steel-tipped shoes. Danasik saw Reiner's reaction towards Naruto where he snarled silently since he has been trying to get Reiner's affection for the past 2 years. For future reference, Naruto is 18, Reiner 19. And Danasik is late 20s to early 30s look but is actually a few centuries old, big age gap, right? Once seeing them, Naruto decided to get the ball rolling here since he needed answers. Alright, now, on to business. Alright then, by seeing you 3 here I can only guess that you would be the one to answer my question, Reiner, given that you're the only one to be able to do what I've heard from where Reiner looked focused on answering whatever question Naruto had for her. She paid close attention as he once again talked to her. "Did you kill a young teenager named Issei Hayata that went to Ko Academy a couple of days ago?" Reiner gathered her thoughts as she answered yes, as she explained on how she did it. Once it was over, Naruto sighed where he was about to explain to her on what the result of her actions has done. Just as he was about to explain, all their attention was soon drawn towards the entryway where they all saw Kalwarner quickly coming in. She immediately walked around where she found some damaged red sheets, and used them as robes before running up to her comrades. "Reiner, the boy that you killed is back, but now he's a devil," she stated. This got Reiner and the others a bit surprised where Naruto didn't seem to be surprised. It took a moment before Kalwarner noticed Naruto was in the group where she slightly bowed towards him. "Naruto-sama, excuse my entrance since my attire was damaged from the bit of fight I was just in." Kalwarner. "What fight? Who managed to strip you like that?" Naruto ordered. "It was from that boy that Reiner killed a few days ago. But now he is back as a devil where he can now summon his sacred gear," Kalwarner answered. This got everyone by surprise where they all heard Naruto sigh while he thought, this is going to be a bit of a headache. Once he took a few breaths he looked at all of them before putting his attention on Reiner. Rainer, can you tell me what your orders were? With a commanding tone. Rainer was a bit hesitate before she recalled on what Azazel wanted her to do. Azazel-sama orders were that I were to keep an eye on Issei Hayadu until your return from your other mission. And did you follow those orders to the letter or did you do something else? Questioned Naruto. Well, sort of, since Azazel-sama said that his sacred gear might be a danger to us. And from the way I saw from the kid, he could have been easily manipulated by any other group. Rainer sheepishly answered. Naruto sighed again before explaining his concerns. Well, you should have just followed those orders since you didn't know that the devil that is in charge of this territory was interested in him. In fact, you gave them the excuse they needed in order to add him into their group. The others looked a bit surprised since Rainer's decision just complicated things for them. Before anything else could be said, Danasik spoke up. Now, don't be so hard. Even though the situation has changed a bit, it doesn't mean we can't correct it now, he sneered mischievously as he summoned his light blade. Naruto narrowed his eyes at Danasik. No, don't you go near him or any of their comrades. Naruto ordering them. Danasik was going to argue about it, however Naruto let out some killing intent at him where it shut him up. Once the discussion about Issei was dealt with, Naruto looked at all of them. Alright, since the observation mission on Issei Hayadu is basically over with, I'll let you guys do on what you want to do as long as it doesn't involve in any type of fighting or hostile activities until your next mission is ready for you, ordered Naruto. All of them looked pleased since they were given some downtime where they can have some fun, as long as it didn't involve in any type of fighting or violence, which Danasik didn't like to hear. Before separating, I want Rainer, Kalawarner, and Middle to come along with me. Danasik, you can go, Naruto ordered. Naruto-sama, why do you want us? Asked Kalawarner. For one, you can inform me on what Issei's sacred gear is, Kalawarner. Rainer here is going to give me a detailed report on the entire time she spent with Issei since I need to write up a psychological evaluation for future reference. And since it may take up most of the night, I figure I might as well be a gentleman and let you girls crash at my place. Naruto explained his reasoning. The girls were happy to hear that they'll spend the night in Naruto's place where they can sleep in something decent. The only one that didn't like this setup was Danasik, which he complained on why he wasn't going to go along with them. Naruto simply answered. You're a guy, you can handle sleeping in a place like this. I've done it before as well. So it's no big deal. Now come on, we got work to do. Enjoy the night, Danasik, said Naruto as he bid farewell to the older male, while the girls followed Naruto out of the church where they headed towards his apartment. Once they were gone, Danasik snarled in frustration at how he was treated as well as how he was practically been treated like a dog, where it was even worse for him since Rainer was watching on what happened. Soon, after his snarling session, he began to chuckle a bit. I may have looked like a simple-minded child in front of you, Rainer, but just wait. In a few days' time, I'll be able to give you something that will definitely make you admire me. Danasik muttered to himself. Morning. Sleeping in a queen-size bed was Rainer, Kalawarner, and Middle. All three girls were sleeping in a guest bedroom in Naruto's penthouse. The reason was for the information that Naruto needed took a lot of time from them, where he gave the girls a nice place to rest. As the sunlight starting seeped through the window, Rainer started to wake up, where she removed her covers to reveal her nude body. She usually wears his battle uniform, but since she was sleeping in a comfortable bed, she removed them where she slept heavily. Plus, she was hoping to use her sex appeal to get closer to Naruto, since if Naruto came to wake them up where he removed the covers, he'll see her naked body, which she hoped would give her a step forward in gaining a relationship with him. With her stirring, Kalawarner also woke up, where she started to register on where she was. She sighed in relief since she remembered that she was sleeping in Naruto's home. As they started to raise themselves, they heard Middle mutter something about chocolate or something sweet. Dressing back into their clothes, where Rainer wore her bondage/leather outfit, while Kalawarner wore her same old clothes that she replaced from her last one being destroyed. Walking out of the bedroom, they went to look for their superior since they were staying in his home. Getting to the living room, they wondered on where he was, where Rainer spoke up. Naruto-sama? Naruto-sama? Called out. What is it, Rainer? Naruto called back as he opened the door from the bathroom he was in. Rainer and Kalawarner looked back to see Naruto coming out, except his body was drenched in water while only wearing a towel that covered everything below his waist while his chest was exposed. Both women blushed red, but Rainer's blush was deeper since she has never seen Naruto in the buff before. Rainer took in every detail of Naruto's body since his body was both lean yet muscular. Rainer glanced up and down as the water that covered him helped highlight his body even further. As both women looked at their superior, Naruto looked confused as he tilted his head a bit. Are you two alright? asking his fellow fallen angels. Returning to reality, Calawarner looked at Naruto and acted professionally in front of him. "Hi Naruto-sama, we were just wondering if you need any other assistance or anything like that." Naruto shook his head at her question. "No, you two gave me everything I asked for. You two, along with Milt and Donasek, can enjoy your time off until I or any of the higher-ups contact you for another assignment," responded to her. With that, Naruto went to his room where he put on his academy uniform. As he prepared to go to Ko Academy, he turned his thoughts onto what he learned last night. From what Calawarner explained to him, Issei's sacred gear is a red, armored bracer with yellow accents and a green jewel on the top the palm area while his fingers were covered. After getting both reports from Rainier and Calawarner, he stayed up all night to write down a psychological report so to keep on record since Azazel was curious about sacred gears and their users. With the information about the sacred gear, he spent the rest of the night to look for it from the Grigori database where he has yet to find it. He decided to put that off for now since he has to focus on another day of school. Once he was ready, he left his room where he went to Ko Academy for another day of classes. As he was leaving, he said his goodbye to the girls and told them on not leaving a mess in his home where they agreed. Leaving his home, Rainier and Calawarner left to wake Middle since Donasek had told them earlier that he has something planned where he was sure it was something that they would like. Out of curiosity, they decided to go back to the abandoned church since they wanted to know on what he was planning. Late afternoon. Naruto was returning to his penthouse after another boring day of school. Like the beginning, nothing uneventful has happened. His talks with Akino began and ended with only a few words. But even though it was few, Naruto can see that she was affected by something. He thought that it might be him or something else. He would have probed more but decided to respect Akino enough to leave her thoughts alone. Reaching his penthouse, he walked in where he placed his school back next to the door. Making his way towards his living room, he finally sensed the presence of a familiar presence. He walked in to see that it was Mai, sitting on his couch, watching TV and eating pizza. Mai turned around when she sensed that Naruto was behind her where she gave a saluted gesture. "Hey, Naruto wants some pizza." Naruto looked at Mai deadpanned at her. No thanks. Out of curiosity, why are you in my home?" asking his friend. "Oh, I thought it would be nice to visit your place since I'll be living here for the time being," Mai answered where Naruto did a spit take. "I'll come again?" Naruto asking again. "You heard me. I'll be living here thanks to my father's orders," Mai once again answered. "Okay, but why are you living here?" wondered Naruto. Mai's calm tone changed into a snarled one as she looked at him dead in the eye. "It's because of you that my dad decided that I should spend my time at school like a regular teenager, just like you are. I could be out doing some important mission but no, both mom and dad said that it would be a good idea to act like a girl than a warrior," puffed Mai. "Okay, but that doesn't explain on why you are staying here?" questioned Naruto. "It was Azazal's suggestion. He told him that he sent you to Ko Academy to live like a normal teenager and have a social life. He told Dad that sending me to Ko not only give me a social life and since you live near it, that I should live with you since I'll have a place to stay but also I have someone that can protect me if I ever need it. Like hell I need protection," puffed out Mai. Naruto sighed and grumbled about his godfather actions has struck again. He decided to let it go for now since he has more important things to do. As he was about to leave to go into his work office, he looked at Mai once again. "I'll talk to you again later but right now, I got work to do. So enjoy the night. Oh, you mind saving me some pizza for later since I might want a snack?" Naruto said where Mai replied at waving her hand in the air while answering yeah. Focusing on the other things, he went to his desk where he focused on figuring out Issei's sacred gear since he wanted to be accurate in his report. From what he was able to gather, all signs point that his sacred gear was just a regular one but knew that he shouldn't judge a book from its cover. It's because of that reason that he felt that Issei's sacred gear was actually something else, something that he can sense that agitated him since it could be the result from his partner's agitation. As he continued his work, he had no idea that something else was brewing before him. Midnight. As the world slept, 3 figures were flying in the night sky as they landed on the balcony of Naruto's penthouse. Rainier, Calawarner, and Middle landed gently as they made their way inside their superior's home. They came back after helping one of Donasek's servants from a devil's peerage. Walking into the home, they continued with the conversation that they were having on what has happened tonight. "I have no idea on what Donasek's servant was doing. Trying to take on group of devils by himself?" questioned Calawarner. "I can sense that exorcist is a complete nut job. Even though he is a great fighter, he's just the weirdest person I've ever met," Middle stated. "Yeah, but I have to admit that Donasek did acquire a very unique sacred gear from that nun he had gotten himself," Rainer commented. Personally, I'm kind of curious on what he plans on doing with the nun. He says he got plans on what to do with her but asked us to not tell Naruto-sama. Midult wondered. I don't care, however, if it gets me in trouble with either Azazel or Naruto. I'm putting the blame on him. Rainer explained. Calawarner and Midult agreed as they quietly moved along the home. They can see an empty pizza box in the living room while 2 drinking cups in the sink. They figured that Naruto got pizza and drank 2 different drinks during dinner and before sleeping. They decided to go to bed at the guest bedroom since it's been a long night. Morning. Waking up from the sun, Rainer got herself dressed in her regular clothing where she made her way to get some breakfast. She looked around to see that Naruto wasn't up yet and was probably still sleeping. She decided to politely wake him up since she wanted to be nice to him, but also to have some breakfast. Scouring towards his room, Rainer gently opened the door and quietly went into his room. When she was close enough, she couldn't help but blush at seeing his gentle sleeping face along with some of his chest exposed from the sheets. Reaching towards him, she gently nudged his chest, while making a mental note on how firm it is, as she woke him up. Naruto-sama, it's time to wake up. She removed the sheets where she then noticed something completely shocking. Rainer looked under his sheets to see that Naruto wasn't sleeping alone. Sleeping next to him was a young girl, same age as him, with long brown hair with bangs that framed the sides of her face. The thing that shocked Rainer the most was the fact that she was snuggling onto him where she had her arm on his abs that was kept hidden from the bed sheets. Seeing this, she did the only thing that came into her mind. What the hell? She screamed. This got immediate response as Naruto awoke in surprise at Rainer's yell as he moved and fell out of bed. Mai also did the same as she spun around and fell off the other side of the bed. Grunting around, he got himself up where the blonde looked directly at Rainer. What the hell, Rainer? What's with the shout? Asking his female comrade. Rainer shakily pointed at the other side of the bed. Who is that sleeping with you? Asking the teenage boy. Naruto raised his eyebrow in confusion before looking at the other side. It was then that he saw Mai starting to rise onto her feet after falling to the floor. Mai, what are you doing in my bed? Blushed Naruto while asking his friend. Mai was wearing a large short-sleeved sports jersey as her pajamas. The shirt just barely passed her thighs while the top part showed a bit of her cleavage. It was cold last night, so to keep warm I slept with you. Mai replied. Why couldn't you just get a spare blanket? There was one in the closet of the room. Naruto pointed out. True, but sleeping with you is better. And besides, it's not like you're not used to sleeping with me given the times that we've been on mission together. Mai explained. Naruto sighed at Mai's explanation before looking back at Rainer, who still had a red face. Rainer, what do you want? Asked Naruto. Oh, I just want to wake you up so you won't be late to school. Rainer replied while keeping her true intent a secret. Oh, thanks. He said before looking at the time on his cell that was located on his sleep stand next to his bed. Ah shit, I'm late, he said before going for his academy clothes. He looked back at the 2 women before he left his room. We'll talk about this later. Leaving the 2 of them alone, Mai and Rainer looked at each other where the raven-hair woman glared at Mai. Mai noticed this where she looked at her confusedly before she smirked at the realization. You have a thing for Naruto-kun, don't you? Asked Mai. What do you mean? Rainer questioned. You know what I mean. In fact, I know that a lot of fallen angel women of our generation has a thing for him. So I shouldn't be surprised. Mai replied as she walked off to go use the bathroom. It was then that Rainer decided to ask some questions of her own. Wait a sec, who are you? And how do you know Naruto-sama? Questioned Rainer. My name is Mai, I'm the daughter of Shemhazai. Mai stated about herself. Rainer looked surprised since she knows who Shemhazai is. As he was second in command of the Juguri. With that, Mai unleashed her 2 black wings while holding back her devil power to show her ranking. With that, Rainer looked at Mai with a deadpan face while trying to show that she wasn't intimidated from Mai's presence. Before she can continue to question her, the brunette continued to speak to her. Also, if curious on how I know him, it's because he and I work together on missions sometimes, said Mai. I see, Rainer replied. Yes, where Mai smirked at deciding to play with Rainer a bit. And because of that, it's not unusual for us to sleep together in the same bed. To tell you the truth, I actually sleep better while I sleep in his arms since he sometimes wrapped them around me, like in our last mission where we slept in the same bed together. Hearing his heartbeat as I lay my head on his chest was very soothing. Mai remarked where Rainer blushed at hearing her statement. Mai then left the room to freshen up since she needs to get some things ready as she has to finish her transcript in order to transfer into Ko Academy. Before she can respond, Rainer heard Naruto yell out into his home. Okay, I'm off. Mai-chan, don't do anything that will piss of the others in here. Naruto explained, where Mai agreed. Once he left, Warner and Middle walked out of to see that Mai heading towards the bathroom. As they wondered on who Mai was, Rainer wondered if she can ask Azazel if she can work alongside Naruto on some missions. Afternoon. Naruto was lying, on his back with his eyes closed, on the soft grass as he tried to put everything that was happening in his life right now. His biggest issue was Mai moving in with him, thanks to Azazel's opinion. Another was on figuring out on what Issei's sacred gear. His other problem was Danasik, since he got a bad feeling that he was up to something. Before he can try and guess on what Danasik was planning on doing, he felt a tensing gaze fall upon him from a familiar presence standing above him. Naruto opened his eyes to see that it was Rias Gremory. From his point of view, Naruto can see that Rias was upset/angry about something that involved him, or someone like him. As Naruto lay there, looking up at Rias, he decided to break the ice and asked her on why she was such a bad mood. Hello Rias-san, what's up? And why are you looking at me like you want to disintegrate me or something? Is it because I can see underneath your skirt where I'm having a good view of you, Black Thong? If it is, then it's not my fault that you're giving me a view. Smirked Naruto. Rias looked a little peeved about giving Naruto a good glimpse of her underwear, but decided to worry about that for later since she needed to know about something else. I'm actually interested to know about the rogue exorcist that I and my peerage encountered last night. Rias asked. Rogue exorcist? Naruto curiously asked. Yes, last night, Issei was doing a contract for Akino since she was busy with something else. Instead on performing a contract, he found himself in trouble against a rogue exorcist that almost killed him if we haven't intervened. I'm curious to know if you know anything about it. Questioned Rias as she narrowed her eyes at Naruto. Is that so? Interesting, Naruto muttered out as if he was thinking about something. So, is the rogue exorcist working for you or not? Rias asked as she was losing a bit of patience. Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't use priest or exorcist since I personally like to do jobs myself. Although you just got me thinking about something though. Naruto admitted to her, getting Rias curious about his last sentence. Oh, and what would that be? The redhead curiously asking. I've been having a strange feeling that one of my subordinates has a hidden agenda that he's hiding behind my back. Out of curiosity? Was there anything else that happened last night? Asked Naruto. No, just the attack, except there was someone else. A young nun named Asia, from what Issei told me. Rias said. Interesting, Naruto muttered out before getting himself up and stretch a bit. He then looked at Rias. Well, I'm going to investigate on the matter. Personally, I don't know what any of my subordinates are doing since I ordered them on not doing anything that has to do with fighting or violence. So now if you excuse me, before I can deal with the issue with my subordinates, I got some work to do which would take some time. Naruto explained. After finishing his explanation, he unleashed his 2 pairs of black wings before taking off into the air. As he left, Rias looked a bit surprised to see that Naruto was a 2-set fallen angel. It wasn't until he left that Rias smiled a bit since she got the hidden meaning of what he wanted her to do with them. I'm guessing Naruto-san is giving me someone new to add to my group. Rias thought as she remembered on what Issei told her about Asia. Naruto's apartment. Currently, Naruto is once again in his home office, looking over sacred gears from the Grigori Secure Network. He programmed his laptop to search for identical, or closely resembled items that would fit the description to Issei's sacred gear. As the computer was going through his search program, Naruto was looking into something that has been bugging him for a bit. Just as he was looking over some files, Mai came walking into his room. She saw him having his back against her, where she was delighted about it since she wanted to surprise him with something. Once inside the room, Mai walked close to the balcony entrance since the penthouse balcony extended around most of the house. Near the window, where the sun was setting, Mai coughed loudly enough before she spoke to him. Hey Naruto, look over here. What is it, Mai? Can't you see that I'm busy with something? Naruto responded, where Mai got a tick mark on her head. The brunette grumbled a bit before she calmed herself. I know that, but I just need your opinion on something. Getting the blonde-haired teenager to turn to her as he asked, on what you need my help with. With this uniform? Mai responded. Naruto looked towards Mai, where he widened his eyes a bit as he drank the view on what Mai was wearing. Mai was wearing the Ko Academy girl's uniform, where he admitted to himself that she looked splendid, especially since it left little to the imagination on how well-toned and curvy her body is. Mai mentally smirked at the reaction that she got from Naruto's face. She took a small breath before speaking to him again. So what do you think? Mai asked as she did a little spin for him. What can I say? Naruto responded since he can't find the words that would match on what he was seeing. He admitted to himself that Mai looked beautiful in the academy uniform, just as beautiful as Akino. Before anything else could be said, they both heard Naruto's laptop beeping, implying that it has completed the search. Shaking his head, the teenage blonde walked towards his laptop where he looked at the screen. Checking on the results, Naruto looked a bit surprised on what he found. Mai saw Naruto's sudden surprised look where she asked him. What is it, Naruto? Did something come up? Mai asked. Yeah, it seems that Gremory-san has gotten something that she'll either regret or enjoy having in her peerage. Naruto responded where he then closed the laptop since he was done with it. Looking over at Mai, Naruto said, Alright, since tonight's show won't start until a little later, want to go out for some dinner? Asking his female friend. Sure, but out of curiosity, what did you find out? Mai wondered. Well, if things go well, you'll see it later tonight. So I suggest that you wear something casual about it. Naruto responded where they both got ready to eat out for the night. Later. Outside the abandoned church, Issei, along with Kiba and Kaneko, were heading towards the main entrance of the building where they'll soon fight against the fallen angel and any of their allies. The reason for them being here was to rescue Issei's friend, the young nun known as Asia. Earlier, Issei had met up with Asia after not going to school today. When they reunited, Issei invited Asia on an outing around the town where they ate, played games and such. But all happy moments come to end when Danasik flew down on their outing. It was there that Issei learned that Asia had run away from the fallen angels since she didn't like on what they were doing. Issei did his best to ward off the fallen angel. He even used his red sacred gear, the bracer, to help him out, but it didn't do much since Issei wasn't familiar with its power just yet. Almost being killed, Asia stepped in front of him again where she agreed to go with Danasik if he let Issei live. He agreed but left after giving Issei another injury. Returning to the clubroom, Issei explained to Rias on what happened to him and Asia where he wanted her help to rescue her. Rias, of course, shot down the matter since the battle between them could be a problem and cause a rift within the faction of the devils and fallen angels. Issei argued about it but Rias wouldn't budge where she ended the conversation as she needed to do something with Akino. Leaving the clubroom, Issei prepared on heading towards the abandoned church alone but was grateful to see that Kiba and Kaneko come along. Kiba came since he has a strong sense of honor when it came to his comrades where he helped them out while Kaneko came along since she was worried about the two of them. Back to the front of the church, Issei, Kiba and Kaneko were ready to storm inside the church and begin the rescue mission. Forest area. Just near the abandoned church, the three female fallen angels were sitting on a branch. Middle, Calawarner, and Rainer were waiting in the forest where the latter had a frustrated look on her face. Why did we have to end up with lookout duty? Middle childishly asked. Because Danasik asked us to as a favor to him. Just relax, the ceremony is almost over, Calawarner said. Rainer sighed, I just hope whatever he is doing would soon be over with. I'd rather spend my time doing something more productive than waiting out here, she stated. Like trying to get into Naruto-sama's bed, said Middle with a mischievous look on her face. What are you talking about? Rainer responded with blush on her cheeks. Oh, don't be like that. We know that you want to try and sleep with him just like that, my girl, smirked Calawarner as she remarked on what she remembered that morning where Rainer found out about my sleeping next to Naruto. I don't know what you're talking about, Rainer said as she tried to deny it. It was there that she decided to spread her wings out. Rainer looked at the other two. Okay, I've had enough waiting, I'm going to see Danasik and figure out on what he is doing, she said before flying towards the church. Calawarner and Middle had a monotone look before the both started to laugh at what they just did to Rainer. It was then that their laughter died when they saw a magical circle appear in front of them. Walking out of the magical circle were Akino and Rias. Looks like we have some excitement now. This is good since I was getting bored on just waiting here. Hello there, I am known as the fallen angel Middle, said the young blonde as she landed on the ground in front of them. Era, what an interesting girl, Akino remarked as she placed a hand on her cheek. And who's your friend? Asking the young-looking fallen angel. Calawarner, introducing herself as she landed next to Middle. Rias walked forward with an amused look on her face. We must have put a lot of fear into you all to actually put guards over here, she stated. Now really, we just needed to make sure the ceremony isn't interrupted, Middle replied. Well, I'm sorry to tell you this, but we already have a group who are most likely entering the building as we speak. Akino commented. Seriously? Middlet exclaimed as she turned around to look in the direction of the church. Yup, they went through the front doors, Rias answered with a smirk, where the girl let out a frustrated yell. I told you I handled the back by myself, but you were too stubborn to believe me. This is on you, Calawarner said as she gave her ally a blank look. Just be glad that Rainier had went back to the church before these two came here. Oh, shut up. I thought they would be coming through the back, Middlet shouted before calming herself, where she looked back at the devils with a cold smile. Oh well, this just makes things interesting since the odds are now even. Especially since you two are the more dangerous out of the others if I'm correct. So why are you two here instead with the others? Are they decoys? Questioned Middlet. No, let's just say that we're their backup, Rias answered. Oh well, let's just get this party started, Middlet stated, where both fallen angels took to the air. Akino Rias signaled, where the young raven hair woman walked forward as she used her power to change her outfit. With a bolt of lightning striking her from above, Akino's academy uniform was replaced with a traditional Miko outfit where she changed into her priestess of thunder mode. Channeling some of her magic, along with a few hand signs, she casted a large, powerful barrier around the four beings. A barrier! Calawarner exclaimed as she looked at her surrounds. And a fierce one at that, added Middlet as she noticed the sparks of electricity on the magical seal. Akino gave a few of her fingertips an erotic lick. Her face was a little flustered as she spoke. You two aren't leaving this forest. You bitch, this was what you wanted all along, Calawarner shouted angrily. Ria's smirk grew as she stared up at the woman. Of course, and even though only half of you are here, we can still get rid of the filth. Where the two attacked the two devils. Akino stepped in front of her king, where she used her magic to create a defense that shielded them from the light spears that the two thrown at them. Middlet and Calawarner were ready to throw another barrage of light spears at them, but stopped when Rias walked forward. I won't forgive those who attack my queen. I won't forgive those who attack my precious peerage, Rias stated, where she gathered her powers in front of her in the form of a black, red outline orb. The two fallen angels felt the power that Rias was gathering, where the two grew nervous about it. Be gone, Rias stated as she fired her power at the two. Middlet and Calawarner screamed out in fear as the attack made contact, where the only thing left from them were just a few black feathers. Looking at what she did, she placed her attention on the church building, where she thought to herself, now then, all that's left is for them to finish up over there. Church building. Issei, Kiba, and Kaneko made into the hidden cavern that was underneath the church. They were able to find it after their little run-in with the rogue priest, Freed. The moment they entered the church, they were ambushed by the lunatic of an exorcist. After a bit of fighting, Freed escaped the three devils, where they then went into the cavern. After a bit of running, the three found the hidden room that held not only Asia, but a room filled with rogue priests. On the altar, Asia was strapped onto a cross, wearing a small sleeveless white dress that stopped just past her hips, where Donasek was finishing up the ceremony. Asia! Issei cried out. Issei-san, Asia muttered out as she looked in front of her to see him. We've come to save you, Issei declared. Donasek looked at them with a cold smile at hearing Issei's declaration. This is very heartwarming, however you're too late. The ceremony has just about ended, Donasek declared, where he placed his hands on Asia's chest. From Asia's chest, a bright light began to come out from her, where Asia cried out in pain from what the ceremony. It was around this time that an orb of light slowly appeared out of Asia, where it then manifested itself into two rings. Donasek looked very pleased about this, where he then laughed hysterically at getting his prize. I finally have on what I need. Twilight healing. With this, her attention to that bastard will turn to me, the older man stated. When Issei heard on what Donasek wanted from Asia was to impress a woman, he growled at Donasek. That's why you wanted Asia. Only for her power to use as a present for some girl that you like. I'm going to kick your ass for doing that, Issei stated. It was then that all three club members charged directly at the rogue priests that were in the room. As the three fought against each of their own opponent, Rainier appeared out of nowhere, where she flew right towards the ceremony altar where Donasek was at. The raven hair woman landed next to Donasek as he finished his gloating. He turned to greet her and to brag about his success. Ah, Rainier, you came at a good time. I've just obtained a very special gift that I'm sure you'll be pleased at, having the sacred gear, Twilight Healing. Donasek smiled. Donasek presented Rainier the rings of Twilight Healing in a gentlemanlike way, where she couldn't help but marvel at them. But before she could even get a hold of them, they heard Issei shout at them. Yuma-chan! You're the one that this creep was talking about. Looking at disbelief at the woman that killed him. Oh, has he been talking about me? It doesn't really matter. But I must admit that his gift is really rare and valuable one, stated Rainier while she gazed at the rings. Before anything else could be said, Issei rushed towards them where he used his sacred gear to punch one of the rogue priests directly at the two fallen angels. This caused them to move back, which Issei took advantage to get to Asia. Appearing right by her side, Issei quickly released her from her binds where he got her down from the altar. Danasik saw what Issei was doing where he smiled evilly at him. You can go ahead and take the girl. I've already gotten what I want from her, Danasik said. Asia. Issei softly spoke to her where she weakly opened her eyes to look at him. Issei-san, she muttered in a weak voice which it was getting weaker. Asia, what's wrong? Issei spoke out loud. Oh, you didn't know that once stripped of their sacred gear, the person will die. Danasik explained where Issei looked stunned. Issei growled a bit before looking at Asia again as she was panting softly. Before he could do anything else, a rogue priest sudden came from behind him where he was caught off guard. Luckily, the priest was cut off when another priest collided with him thanks to Kaneko. It was there that Kiba and Kaneko came to Issei's side where they helped guard him. Issei-san, we can't fight with you taking care of the girl, Kaneko stated. You take the girl out of here to a safe place, Kiba asked. But Kiba, I can't leave you and Kaneko alone, Issei said. Don't worry about us. We'll hold them off. You just focus on getting the girl out of here, Kiba said with a smirk where Kaneko also nodded and agreed. Arigato Kiba-san. Kaneko-san. Issei lifted Asia in a princess cradle and took her out of the hidden cavern. As Issei was leaving, Kiba and Kaneko looked up to see Danasik and Rainier were preparing to fight them where the two devils couldn't help but be a bit nervous. After running for a bit, Issei made it out of the underground cavern where he placed Asia on one of the benches so he could check on her condition. When he checked on her, he saw that she was no longer responding where he knew what it meant. He began to shed tears as he can see now that Asia has passed away. As he shed tears, he heard someone laughing at him where he turned to see Danasik standing nearby him. As he looked at Danasik's sick smile, he walked closer to Issei where the brunette boy went to a protective stance in front of Asia's body. My, to think the reason you came here was to rescue a little girl. Were you hoping to be her knight and shining armor? Ha ha ha, it's so hysterical, laughed the older male. Shut up, Issei growled as he put all his attention on the cocky bastard in front of him. Someone like you who only takes advantage of other people doesn't deserve to have anyone, he said. Before Danasik could respond, both their attention turned to the footsteps that came towards them. They turned to see Rainier walking towards them with a bit of an injury on her arm. Both looked at the raven hair girl who didn't look tired. Era, you're sure taking your time. I just took care of those two friends of his. I left them in a vulnerable state where the rest of the exorcist can finish them off. Although I have to admit that sword-wielding boy was pretty good since he gave me this cut on my arm, Rainier explained as she showed her left arm with a slight cut. Danasik looked eager where he got right next Rainier. He held his hand in front of Rainier where it held the twilight healing rings. Hooray! I believe this would help take care of that little scratch, he commented. Rainier took the rings, placing it on her fingers, where she then used it to heal her cut while she said, Thanks, Danasik. With this power, I will be able to heal myself from any injury I receive. After all, I do want to look my best in front of him, Rainier stated as she had a blush on her cheeks as she imagined Naruto's face. Danasik looked shocked before he snarled out loud at what Rainier stated. He then went up to her with a questioning look. Rainier, why are you fascinated with that bastard? I was able to get you this extremely rare sacred gear, and yet you still have your eyes on him. What's so special about him that you can't see in me? Danasik. Rainier looked at Danasik for a bit, as she was going to explain to him, but was stopped when Issei joined in the conversation. To think that you went through all this trouble just to impress a girl that already has a thing for someone else. Even though I may not look as cool as Kiba, at least I'm not that foolish to do all this, said with a mocking voice. The older male just growled at the insult that Issei gave him where he attacked him with two light spears. Issei didn't have the reaction time or room to dodge where he got struck on both his legs. Issei struggled to stay standing as the light spears were still embedded in his thighs. Danasik looked at the struggling brunette. My, you are still able to stand even with the pain that the light spears still active, he commented. So what? The pain in these stupid light spears mean nothing compared to Asia's pain, Issei said as he painfully pulled out the spears out of his legs where blood gushed out from both legs. I'm impressed that you've come this far despite being a low-level devil, Rainier said as Issei fell on his ass. But it seems to be your limit. Any other low-level devil would be dead by now. You're much more resilient than I had thought. Well, in any case, we should leave now, Donasek, since it's getting late. Finish off the devil and let's go, she ordered. Donasek glared at her before he nodded in agreement. As Donasek prepared to finish Issei, the young devil muttered something to himself. Kami-sama, no, he won't listen to me. Mao-sama, listen to my prey. Issei said it louder where the two fallen angels looked at him. What are you talking about now? Has the pain finally made you go insane? Donasek questioned. I beg of you, I don't need anything else, where Issei, with great struggle, began to rise and stand on his own 2 feet again. Please give me the strength to make these 2 bastards cry, he cried out loud. High School DxD Saya Shalebi. When he got onto his feet, Donasek and Rainier were in disbelief. Rainier was the first to get out of the stunned expression where she looked upon the brunette. He shouldn't be able to stand up. His blood should be zapped away from the light. There isn't any low-level devil who can just ignore off-light damage? She stated as both she and Donasek stepped back a couple paces as Issei moved closer to them with his devil wings spread out. Oh, it hurts, he responded as he glared at both his opponents. It fucking hurts, it feels like my body is going to blow itself to bits. However, the only thing I feel right now is the desire to fucking kill you, Issei shouted. It was there that the green gem on his sacred gear glowed brighter before it shouted out explosion, where only Issei could hear it. His bracer changed into a different form. It was now a red, claw-shaped gauntlet with yellow accents and green inscriptions. Issei held it up over his head where the gem unleashed a beam of green light into the sky. Both fallen angels looked in disbelief at what was happening now. His power beam? In his condition? Impossible. How could his sacred gear, how can a simple twice critical? Rainier fearfully said as both the two moved back a bit. It was there that Donasek just pushed her forward, closer to Issei. Sorry, Ray, but since you're not interested in me, we'll just separate it from here, Donasek said as he moved back. Rainier looked in disbelief at what Donasek just did, but then put her attention back on Issei, who moved closer to her with glaring eyes. She quickly summoned a light spear where she threw it at him. Stay back. Issei saw the spear coming where he decided to use to his advantage since his real target was the one that was trying to get away. Using his new gauntlet, he deflected the light spear away from him, sending it directly at behind Rainier. The light spear traveled a bit before it hit its intended target, Donasek's leg, where it traveled down further before pinning him into the ground. Rainier tried to fly away in a dash only for Issei to leap towards her where he caught her right arm. You're not leaving, Issei ordered. How can a low-level, Rainier said before Issei cut her off. You're a fucking angel, so fly, he said as punched her face where she was sent flying through a wall with her screaming in pain. And Ost. Issei was satisfied when he punched Rainier in the face but began to feel his strength leaving him. Before he fell, Kiba came to his side to help steady him. You defeated 2 fallen angels by yourself, Hakiba commented where he can see Donasek struggling from the spear that was embedded in him. Took you long enough, pretty boy, Issei replied. It was there that Kiba explained to him that Rias told him to not to, since he was not to interfere with it. They then heard Rias from the other side of the room as she commented on what she wanted to see and such. Kiba explained that after Rainier injured them, both he and Kaneko were at the mercy of the rest of the rogue exorcist. Fortunately for the both of them, Rias arrived in time to save them. Man, I feel like an idiot for worrying about you, admitted Issei as he was relieved to know that the two were okay. It was then that Kaneko came walking into the room. Bucho, I've brought what you requested, dragging Rainier with her after her sudden trip. As Kaneko moved forward, she kept her distance from Donasek, who was still pinned down from Rainier's spear. Tossing Rainier at Rias' feet, Kaneko moved away from her where Rias had both her and Donasek's attention. Nice to meet you, fallen angels, Rainier Donasek. I am Rias Gremry, heir to the Gremry clan. Rias politely greeted her enemies. You're a daughter of the Gremry clan? Rainier muttered out. High School DxDost for me, live on. Pleased to meet your acquaintance, although I'm sure we won't know each other for much longer. And also, Rias lifted her hand where she released a few black feathers. Both your friends who came to greet me, I sent them flying away. Where both fallen angels had stunned looks on their faces. Issei wondered on what Rias meant, where Kiba explained that Rias is known by a few titles such as the red-haired ruin princess. Looks like I got more than I bargained for in my master, Issei commented on it. The daughter of Gremry, how dare you, Donasek sneered at them. Ever since you targeted Issei, we got wind of a fallen angel plot and play in the city. If you hadn't interfered with us, I would have left you alone, Rias stated. It was then that Rias looked at Issei where she saw his sacred gear has transformed, where Issei explained that it changed during the fight. Rias gazed at the red gauntlet where she was amazed on what she now sees. A red dragon, a voice said, where everyone's gaze went to the front of the building where they looked into the building's shadows. Coming forward, everyone saw a young man walking towards them. Only when the moonlight revealed the person did everyone saw who it was. Issei gasped as she saw who it was, and Naruto-senpai. In shock. Naruto-sama! Reiner gleefully called out. Naruto coolly walked towards them where Danasik snarled at how Naruto acted in front of him. As he moved closer, he started to explain to them about the gauntlet. There is something that you two should know. That sacred gear isn't twice critical. Getting worried looks from Reiner and Danasik. It increases the wearer's power twice every 10 seconds where it can even kill gods. The Longinus, the Red Dragon Emperor's gauntlet boosted gear, Naruto explained, all the while both fallen angels' eyes continued to wide at every word that he said before being shocked at the revelation, as he stopped right next to Danasik. Sighing for a bit, Naruto changed his view from the gauntlet back to Rias. Although the kid doesn't look like much, you definitely gotten an interesting servant, Naruto stated before he turned his gaze to Reiner. Get up, Reiner, it's time for us to go, Naruto stated in a serious tone. Reiner did what Naruto ordered, where she slowly crawled away from Rias and her peerage. The red-headed devil was going to stop her but halted when she saw Naruto summon a weapon in his right hand. Naruto's weapon was a chakram, Xena Ing Yang Season 6, that had a yellow gem on one side of the grip while the circular blade had a white/black flame design on both sides. Having a calm look on his face, Naruto kept a good eye on Reiner where she continued to move closer to him. Rias's peerage looked on where Kiba summoned one of his demonic swords while Kaneko and Issei prepared themselves. When Reiner made it to his side, she wobbly got herself up onto her feet where she struggled to stay standing. While keeping his gaze on the Gremry heiress, Naruto spoke to the raven-hair girl. Are you alright? Asking his female comrade. I'm fine, answering the young blonde. I can't move that well, so I need a bit of help, Danasik replied. Reiner narrowed her eyes on him while Naruto kept his neutral look. It was then that Reiner told him something. Naruto-sama, the Gremry devil has taken out Calawarner and Mitlet, telling him the situation. Don't worry about them, they're both safe, Naruto explained, where Reiner, along with Rias and her peerage, were surprised to know on what happened with the other two fallen angels. Since the Gremry heiress isn't that experienced in finishing off an opponent yet, she didn't notice the split second her attack hit was the moment that I came and pulled both of them away while leaving a dozen or so of black feathers to fool her with. Naruto finished. Rias narrowed her eyes at what Naruto just said, where she looked displeased at being duped like that, as well as wondered on how he came into the barrier that was around them as well. Reiner looked pleased, where she was glad that they were fine. Although she was glad that the others were alright, Reiner wasn't doing any good since she was still injured. Before things could go off topic, Naruto placed his gaze at Danasik where he felt his spine freeze a bit. Now for you, let me ask you on what I ordered you to do, Naruto ordered. Danasik narrowed his eyes as he snarled at him, where Naruto answered for him. I said that you could do anything as long as it didn't cause any trouble for humans or any of the other factions, he stated. Not exactly the same thing, but close to it. Taking a deep breath, Naruto turned back to Rias. Even though the situation with Hayate Issei was unintended result, I can let that go, he stated, where Reiner looked relief about it. However, Naruto's attention changed back to Danasik. But since you're the one that caused this much trouble with the Gremry and her peerage, it's only fair that she gets to decide your fate, Naruto explained. Danasik eyes widened in surprise while Reiner smiled at what Naruto declared, where middle-aged fallen angel was going to strike the blonde but wasn't able to do it when Naruto kicked him hard, where the light spear that held him to the ground shattered. Being forced back, the older male was thrown directly at Rias' feet. Looking up, Danasik saw Rias' eyes look down at him with disgust. He shook in fear as Rias raised her hand with her power encircling in her hand. Now then, for causing us trouble, disappear, Rias said, where she launched her attack at Danasik, which he screamed his last scream as Rias turned him into dust while his few remaining black feathers fell to the ground. When that was over, Rias and her peerage turned to Naruto, who had Reiner right behind him. After a moment or two of intense silence, Rias spoke up. So, now with that issue is over, with what's going to happen now? Asking Naruto. I believe you already know the answer to that question, where he paid attention to Reiner, who was still a little wobbly. He immediately picked her up like a princess, where a pink blush appeared on her cheeks. The others could see the blush on Reiner's face, where they figured that she's got a crush on Naruto. However, Issei had a depressing look since he can see that his first girlfriend actually had the hots for his senior. As he walked away, he suddenly stopped where he looked at Reiner, Oh, I almost forgot. Rainier holding her with one hand while bringing his other hand he held up in front of her face. Hand them over, Naruto asked. Rainier looked confused a bit before she got what her crush wanted from her. Being a bit hesitant, she gave up the Twilight healing rings to Naruto where he held them in his hand. Turning back at Rias and her peerage. Oh, and here Hayato-san getting his attention. Naruto, using his power, threw the rings with gentle force where the Sekiryutai caught them in his hands. I believe that belongs to the young lady, he implied. Issei looked at the rings where he smiled at what Naruto gave to him. The other devils had actually forgotten about the sacred gear where they were glad about it. Before Rias could instruct the others on what to do, Naruto turned his back at them where he said one more thing. Oh, and Gremory-san getting the Buster Redhead's attention, I keep a good eye on the girl. Since there's a dark shadow that is looming over her. A shadow that will soon bear its fangs on all of you. See you at school, Naruto stated where he left the church with Rainier in his arms. As Rias gazed upon Naruto's leave, she can't help but linger on Naruto's last words. She decided to find out about it later since she now has a new piece to resurrect. Co-Academy. All the students were arriving in class as they prepared for another day of class. In class, Issei was with his friends while keeping an eye on Asia. It's been 3 days since the incident with the fallen angel, and when Asia started to begin her new life as a Co-Academy student. Asia, Rias's new bishop, began to live in Issei's home where she was then quickly enrolled into the academy thanks to Rias. After the first 2 days, Asia has become popular with some of the female students in her class, which was also Issei's classroom. When the bell rang, everyone took their seat as the homeroom teacher came in to begin the day's lesson. As the teacher now stood in front of the class, he made an announcement. Okay everyone. Before we begin today's lesson, I would like to introduce another new student to our class. Which got everyone's attention since it was rare for a new student to appear so soon. With that, the teacher instructed the new student to appear. All the guys, especially Issei and his friends, looked very happy to see another hot girl being transferred into his class. The young woman has honey-colored eyes and long brown hair with long bangs that framed the sides of her face, tied up in a thick, long ponytail like a kimono which only enhanced her beauty with the girls' academy uniform. The young woman made it to the front of the room where she introduced herself. Hello, my name is Mai Shirani. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Mai introduced herself while narrowing her eyes a bit. It was then that Asia and Issei suddenly felt a sudden chill run down their spines where they wondered on where it came from. The sudden chill started to get a bit colder when Mai started to get closer to either of them as she went to take her seat. Noon. Naruto was lying on the ground underneath a tree that was close to the main building. Next to him was his finished lunch which he ate fast. He was now just resting as he waited for the lunch hour to finish. Not far, he could hear the teenage boys and girls talking about Mai. Naruto knew that Mai would attract attention because of her looks as well as her carefree attitude when she's not on mission. He knew that she gets that attitude from her mother as well as her looks, from some of the times he has seen her. His thoughts stopped when he felt the presence of 2 people coming towards him. When they were close to him, he opened his eyes since he knew who they were. Hello Rias-san, Akino-san, what can I do for you today? Naruto calmly asked. Rias stood in front of the lying down Naruto, while Akino was standing behind her. Naruto can see that Rias was wearing her poker face that had a smile on it while Akino faces kept her Wanisama look. You can answer me a couple of questions for me, Rias stated. Look, if it's about indecisive showing me your panties the other day, don't worry about it. I didn't have any hidden camera that took pictures of it and placed it on the internet, Naruto said stupidly. Rias' eye twitched a bit where Akino looked at the blonde with narrow eyes. They can see that Naruto was only joking about it where Rias decided to ignore it. Getting her composure back, the redhead looked at the teenage fallen angel. I don't mean about that. I'm more curious on what you said to me back in the church, where Naruto had his eyes shut. Oh, so you want to talk about that? Where he then gestured them to sit down. He then looked up into the sky where he then asked them, before we can get to that, I need you to tell me about the girl herself. Where Rias and Akino had a monotone face. Why do you want to know that? Akino asked. Because depending on the story, my advice can become either a silly comment or big warning, Naruto simply stated. Rias was the type of person to trust a fallen angel as much as she trusts a snake in a rabbit cage, especially since they almost taken out her peerage last time. But with Naruto's actions during that night, also including the once close relationship with Akino, she was willing to gamble on it since if there is one thing that the Gremory are known for, is that they treat their servants as family and would do anything to protect them. Rias and Akino began to tell the story of Asia and her past. Get the story from either the anime or manga. Once Naruto heard the story, he had a monotone look on his face where he closed his eyes. I see, it seems that my advice is really a warning. It also answers a few questions of my own, he stated. A warning, huh? And what do you mean your questions? Questioned Akino as both she and Rias were curious about what he said. From what I heard, you two are considered to be very intelligent, yet you two are too dumb to not see what's in front of you, said Naruto, where Rias and Akino grew a tick mark on their heads. Alright, let's pretend that we can't see the answer. What is it then? Rias asked. Naruto sighed as he looked at the two great ladies. Don't you find it weird that a devil would appear out of nowhere near one of the church's controlled areas where any devil knew to stay away no matter what, even in a life-death situation, especially at the same area where this Asia had stayed in? Where Rias and Akino thought it was a coincidence but then paid back attention on Naruto. And don't forget that both she and Danasi came to this city around the same time. Getting both girls to reconsider the possibility it being a coincidence being dimmer, there is also the strange message that I was able to locate, Naruto stated. What strange message? Rias asked. I don't know on what was written down, but it made it to Danasi's hands where he immediately volunteered to come here. I can only guess that the message was related to Asia and her power. With that being said, I can assume that there is something or someone else that had their own plans that you derailed, Naruto said as he gazed at Rias. Rias and Akino had a look of concern since Naruto had given them a valid reason for them to be worried about Asia and such. Before they could worry about it, Naruto got their attention again. Oh, don't worry about it. What you did might have pushed whatever plans that was going on back a good while, so you have to time to prepare yourselves for it. Sighing, Rias agreed since nothing has happened yet, so she could only assume that Naruto was right about the time preparations have been changed. It was then that Akino asked a question. What happened to the fallen angel, Rainier, after you saved her? As well as her comrades? What did you do to them? Putting her gaze on Naruto. All three girls had rested peacefully in my home. After they recovered from whatever injuries they received, I sent them back to the Grigori. All but Rainier, who was ordered to stay with me, Naruto explained. Why is she staying here? Rias asked. I don't know. The only thing she told me that she was ordered to stay here. So now, she entered into the Closes University where she'll be a freshman, Naruto simply replied. Rias and Akino had a deadpan look as Naruto casually answered their question. Before anything else could be said, Naruto turned to them, and for future reference, since I'm pretty sure that you can sense her, Mai was assigned, or to be more precise, forced to be in this academy as well, Naruto stated. That answers my other question, but out of curiosity, why is she here? Since she is forced to be here, she must have gotten in trouble? Rias asked. Nope, her old man thought it would be a good idea for her to live like a normal teenage girl instead of always going on missions, Naruto explained as he chuckled from remembering how she acted when he told her. They both saw him chuckle where they wondered on what was so funny. After his laughing session, Naruto sat up straight where he then looked at the two. Well, I believe that's enough Q&A. I believe it's time for us to go back to class, Naruto stated where the lunch bell rang to signal all the students that lunch is over, as well as the conversation that the three were having. Over 2 weeks later. It's Friday after school as Naruto was laying on the academy roof, enjoying the sunset. He was taking a break from his own research where he decided to enjoy some quiet time when he suddenly shot his eyes up at sensing a very powerful demonic aura coming from the old school building where Rias's headquarters is located. Staying put, he can feel that the person was suppressing their aura down so to not disturb others or anything like that. He then felt another aura appear which felt stronger than Rias. After a few more minutes, he can sense over a dozen new demonic auras. Naruto guessed that another devil and his peerage are visiting them. Another few minutes went by where he sensed Rias and the other's devil demonic power increasing, where he knew that he was right about the other aura being stronger. This lasted for a few more minutes where the peerage as well as the powerful aura left, leaving ORC members alone. After that, he went back to viewing the sunset. ORC, Occult Research Club. Rias sat down on one of her couches after being paid a visit from her fiancé, Riser Phoenix of the Phoenix family. The reason for the visit was to settle the arranged marriage between the two because of political reasons. Rias, however, didn't want to get married to the self-centered guy, where she was now going to win her freedom by facing him in a rating game. Basically, if she wins, she free herself from marriage. If she lose, she'll quickly be forced to marrying Riser. Her peerage came towards her where they comfort her the best they can, but she knew that she, or any of her members, weren't ready to be in a rating game, but was given little choice. Her thoughts on what to do was interrupted when her rook asked her something. Bucho, what are we going to do? Kaneko asking her king. We're going to train hard for the next 2 weeks where we'll win against Riser, Rias answered. The other agreed, where they smiled towards her in hopes to give her confidence. It was then that her newest bishop asked her something else. Bucho, how are we going to train? After all, they do have more people than us. Asia asked nervously. She's right, Bucho. Against Riser, we're not only going to need to train hard, but also have a good strategy in order to win. Kiba wondered. Rias took everything what her peerage said into account. She knew that facing against another devil and his peerage, who has experience in raiding games, was going to be tricky, especially since she, herself, hasn't been in one yet. The thing that she does know is that in order to beat Riser, they need some kind of strategy, a strategy that can defeat a devil that can constantly revive himself. Is the Phoenix family really that strong? Issei asking Akino. Yes, since they're famous for their regeneration powers. With that being in play, it is going to be difficult to beat him, answered the raven hair Weni-sama. But even if they can regenerate, they are still devils that angels and fallen angels can kill, since like all devils, they are weak against light magic and holy items, Kiba remarked. It was then that Rias got some inspiration that she knew that her peerage, especially her queen, won't like, but knew that it would be the best option in order to gain her freedom. She smirked as she looked at her peerage. I believe I just got a good idea on how to win against Riser, however we're going to need some help from someone, Rias confidently stated. Everyone looked at her as they wondered on what idea she has suddenly come up with. Rias looked at her peerage, where she can guess on what they were thinking. She decided to answer their curiosity by telling them her plan. It's what Kiba said, all devils share the same weaknesses when fighting against a member of the other faction. And the best way to find the answer in defeating the Phoenix family member is to get someone who knows those weaknesses, Rias stated. Her peerage was confused on what she meant, where she clarified it even more. I'm saying we ask a certain blonde-haired fallen angel for some help, Rias explained. It was then that they knew who Rias was talking about. Out of everyone, Akino looked the most peeved, where she was going to voice out her opinion, but Rias spoke up first. I know how all of you feel. But right now is not to allow our own personal grudges and such get in the way. As they say, it's time to swallow your pride, Rias said, where Akino huffed. I forgot the actually saying. Issei, Kiba, Kaneko, and Asia had their own worried looks, since the person they were going to ask for help was the same fallen angel that was still in the academy. Their opinion of Naruto was still a bit waver, since Naruto didn't do anything against them but was still a fallen angel. For Akino, it was more personal, since two of them go back to their childhood. But the matter came to a close when Rias asked Akino to come with her so they can both talk to the blonde-haired student. Next day. It was late Saturday morning as Rias and her peerage made their way to their training area. The training area is a villa that was located in a solitary location away from people but close to the main highway where the bus and such are located. Rias, Akino, and Asia were carrying backpack full of stuff as Rias led the way with the other two right behind her. Behind them, Issei, Kiba, and Kaneko were also carrying backpacks as well, but different size. Kiba carried double what Rias and the other girls were carrying, Issei carried 5 times that which he was having trouble with, and finally Kaneko easily walked past him while carrying double on what Issei carried. After walking for about an hour, they made it to the villa, which was a 2-story mansion. Issei and Asia looked amazed on such a lovely Western-style house being built here. Before they could admire it even more, Rias interrupted them since she saw their trainer was already here. Era, you got here pretty fast, huh, Naruto-san, my-san, where everyone looked at the direction Rias was looking. On the roof, sitting on the edge, was Naruto, while Mai was standing next to him with a smirk on her face. Flashback. Yesterday afternoon, walking down the hallways of Koa Academy, Naruto was heading home with Mai walking alongside him. After his peaceful gaze, he decided to head home where Mai came to get him since it was his turn to cook. Both made it to the main entranceway when they spotted Rias and Akino standing in front of them. Not being afraid of the two, Naruto and Mai continued to walk forward when they both stopped when Rias called to the both of them as they reached their side. What is it, Rias-san? I already answered your question, so what is it now? Curiously asked Naruto. Rias took a deep breath before she looked straight at Naruto's face. I would like your help with something? Oh, and what type of help would that be? Looking at Rias. I need you to tell me on the best way to defeat a member of the Phoenix family, Rias stated. This was curious to him, where he then sighed, before we can get to that, how about we head to my place so you can explain to me on why you asked me such a request. When Naruto and Mai continued their way home while Rias and Akino looked at each other with a bit of uncertainty but decided to follow. Naruto's penthouse. After walking for a bit, making it to the apartment building, they reached Naruto's penthouse. Once there, He looked around to see that they were the only ones in the home. I guess Rainer isn't here. She might be coming home late, or she might have been held up with something either from the old man, or any other leaders of the Grigori, Naruto stated. Rias and Akino didn't look pleased to hear that another fallen angel was still living here, since they thought she would live on her own, but decided to drop it. Everyone placed their bags down as they entered the home. Placing his stuff down, Naruto quickly took off his dress shirt, placing it on his chair, where he was now only in his black tank shirt that revealed his athletic body. Mai blushed a bit at seeing Naruto's well-toned chest where she looked at him. Don't forget, Naruto, it's your turn to cook tonight. Yeah, I'm on it, Naruto replied after sighing a bit as he headed towards the kitchen. Heading towards the kitchen, Naruto offered the two great ladies to sit in the living room as he starts cooking dinner. Rias and Akino felt a little strange sitting in the home of one of their enemies. As they sat, they heard Mai say that she's going to take a shower, leaving the two alone. Waiting for dinner to be ready, they looked around a bit to see it was a comfortable home. Taking a look at the pictures sitting on the mantels or shelves that were located around, they could see Naruto along with various people in it. They looked around where one picture got both Akino and Rias' attention. It was a picture of smiling Naruto, 7 to 8 years old, being hugged by a young and happy Akino. Rias smiled at it since it was a happy time for her best friend, but when she looked at her queen, she saw conflicted emotions of happiness yet also sadness, hatred, and despair. Rias can guess that seeing a picture of her past wasn't something Akino liked to remember. Rias' attention turned to another picture where an older Akino was smiling alongside a young red-headed woman with some familiar facial features. Kasa-and Kushino Basin, Akino muttered as she looked at the picture of her mother and her best friend. Rias saw the small tears in her queen's eyes where she can understand. Knowing that Akino is an orphan, seeing a picture of her mother after so long must be a joyful and painful experience. Dinner is almost ready, and oh, you're looking at some pictures, huh? Naruto stated, getting the two look at him. He saw the picture that they were seeing where he smiled. You know, seeing that picture makes me think that history is once again repeating itself with the two of you. After all, Akino's mother was a raven head while my mother is a redhead, and we're the best of friends, he explained. Rias widened her eyes as she found out that the red-headed woman next to Akino's mother was his mother. She then looked at the relationship between her and Akino, where she agreed that history was repeating themselves with her and her queen. Before anything else could be said, Akino asked the young blonde a question. Where's Kushino Basin? That question turned Naruto's expression from mildly amused to sad one. She was Shuryo Basin, he muttered out. Dinner will be ready in 5 minutes. Where he went back to the kitchen to get the dinner table ready. Rias could feel the depressing tone in Naruto's voice as he went back to the kitchen, which she figured that his mother has also passed away. She turned to look at her best friend to see that she had a sad, tearful look as well. She figured that she was just as close to Naruto's mother just like he was with hers. Akino shed the tears that welled up in her eyes as she looked at the picture. Seeing the picture of both her mother and Kushina was something special to her. With Kushina, the redhead would always make her laugh or tease her on how she should call her mother-in-law, since she believed that Akino and Naruto would one day get married together. If anything, Akino considered Kushina her second mother. Naruto called everyone for dinner, where they had a simple meal of rice, baked potatoes, and grilled chicken. During dinner, Naruto asked Rias-san why she wanted information on defeating a Phoenix family member. Rias explained to Naruto that because of her father, as well as bit from her brother, that she was being forced to marry Riser Phoenix, another pure-blooded high-class devil. She, of course, didn't want to, since she despised the man for being who he is and only wanted her for both her looks and family name. Is that so? Said Naruto as he got an understanding on what Rias was asking him this. Hey, how about you train them, Naruto? Mai spoke out loud. Mai, Naruto responded while giving her a deadpan face. What are you talking about, Mai-san? Rias wondered. Naruto is considered to be a genius fighter and gifted strategist, even among the higher ranks of the Grigori, where even 3 or 4 wing set members would follow his orders on missions, explained Mai. Rias and Akino looked at Naruto, where he had a monotone look on his face. They wondered on how strong Naruto really was, but stopped when Naruto looked at Mai. You know you should learn on when to keep your mouth shut there, Mai, Naruto said, where she only snickered at him. If that's so, then I would like to ask you to train us. I'll even give you anything you want for your lessons, Rias stated. Anything, huh? Naruto muttered as he looked at the two. He then silently thought about it before he sighed. Alright, then I'll train you and your peerage members. As for my payment, we can file that under a favor clause, Naruto simply stated. With that, Rias agreed to it, where Naruto was going to train her and her devil peerage for the next 2 weeks. End flashback. Seeing Rias's group appear at the villa, Naruto rose to his feet where he and Mai released their two sets of black wings where they gently glide down to the ground. Once on the ground, both looked at the group where Naruto looked at them with a serious look. Alright, now if you're here for a vacation I suggest that you get lost now, said with piercing tone that matched his piercing eyes. Everyone narrowed their eyes at what Naruto said to them, like it was an insult, where their only response was silence, except for Issei and Asia, where Issei had tired but strong determined look while Asia had a nervous but just as determined one as well. Nobody did or do anything for a few moments before Naruto spoke again. No runaways, Hagud, because during your training, you're not going to look at me as your equal or as your senior but as your instructor, which I demands respect. If you can't handle that, then leave. For now on, you're at my training camp, which you're going to regret ever taking part of it. So let the training begin. Naruto stated where everyone looked ready to train. Early afternoon. After arriving to the villa, Rias opened the doors to the building where they soon first got their stuff organized and assigning rooms to each person. They soon got ready where Naruto met everyone outside in their training gear, Ko Academy sweatpants and long-sleeve jackets, although Mai wore the same thing except she wore a red sleeveless tank top that showed her cleavage a bit while Naruto wore black jeans that had some wear and tear, with a tight white sleeveless tank top. With everyone in front of him, Naruto turned to Mai and nodded at her to do something. Mai brought her hand to her cleavage where she pulled out 6 white, blank straws out between her breasts where Naruto thought, why does she put the straws in her breasts? Rias and her peerage looked a little confused as Mai pulled out the straws while Issei had a pervert glee at Mai as she pulled out the straws while Kaneko looked a bit depressed in a way but still had her monotone look. Mai walked over to all of them where she then told them on what to do. Alright now ladies, pick only a single straw. The straw you get is the one you keep for this time, and no trading. Stating the objective to the devils. Each one of them picked one where at the end of each straw had either a red or blue color. With that, Mai stepped back where she went to set up on what Naruto was planning on doing for them. As Mai left to finish up on what Naruto had asked her to do, Naruto stepped forward where he then looked at all of them. Alright then, those who have red stand on one side while those with blue stand at the other side. Naruto ordered where they did exactly what he said. Red, Rias, Kaneko and Asia. Blue, Akino, Kiba and Issei. Now we're going to have a little match with each other where the first 3 will fight against me, then the last 3 will do the same with me, where the objective will be that each team will have to take these 2 bells from me. Naruto said where he held up 2 small bells. Konoha Genin exam. This got everyone to tense a bit since Naruto just told them to fight him. He then tied the bells onto his jeans where he then looked at everyone. With that being said, I'm going to set up some conditions for this little spar. Since we're on limited time, the first rule is that flying is out of the question for now. Getting a nod from everyone second, this will be a test for all of you so I can see where you all stand. So that means don't hold anything back, come at me with the intent to kill. If you can't come at me with intent to kill, then you're not going to win against Riser. Where everyone had a bit of concern but mostly agreed since fighting Naruto without restraint will help in Rias' rating game. Also, there will be a time limit. You'll have 2 hours to fight and defeat me in order to get the 2 bells. And finally, the limited area of the sparring match will be 4 kilometers around the mansion. With that, the rules are set. You can use anything you have, spells, traps and including your sacred gears to face me, while I use both my light magic and sacred gear against you. Naruto finished explaining where everyone agreed. He then summoned his sacred gear, which was a chakram. The chakram is a very interesting design which resembled the yin-yang symbol where on side had an amber gem while the bladed edges had spiral designs. Xena Season 6 Chakram. Naruto turned his head towards Mai. Is everything set? Yep, this alarm will buzz after the 2-hour limit is finished. I'll signal everyone with a few light spears into the sky to alert you all that the time limit is done. Mai explained on what she did. Then let's begin. First up is the red team. I'll be giving you a 10-minute head start where you can prepare on how you like to fight me. But we begin, there will be no help from anyone else here. You'll be on your own and trust me when I say this. I'll come at you like wild beast and I will take you down without hesitation. So I expect you to do the exact same thing as well. Now go! Ordered Naruto. With that, Rias, Asia, and Kaneko quickly ran into the forest while everyone else waited nearby the mansion. As everyone waited, Naruto stood firm near the edge with his arms crossed and his eyes closed. While waiting, the other members of the ORC sat nearby or stretched out their bodies as they would have to prepare for their own match against Naruto. It was then that Issei brought up something that was bothering him. Getting his team's attention, I wonder how Naruto-senpai is going to fare against Bucho. I mean, I understand that Bucho has Kaneko, even with Asia on her side, Naruto-senpai doesn't stand a chance in such a handicap. Muttered Issei. That's true. But even still, Naruto-senpai has two sets of wings where he might be a challenge to them. I'm pretty sure that is a test to see on how Rias could handle in this type of stress scenario. Kiba stated, where Issei agreed. What you guys talking about? Mai asked as she stand nearby them. Era, we were just discussing on how long the match will last for Namikaze-san. Akino giggled into her hand. Oh well, if I had to guess, I say at least a half hour. Mai stated. A half hour? Issei questioned out of wonder. Yup, a half hour where he'll drag the three out of the forest after he finished showing them on where they stand. Mai stated. Huh? What do you mean about that, Mai-san? I know that Naruto-senpai is strong for a fallen angel. But he still has two sets of wings which Bucho should be able to defeat on her own. Kiba explained. Baka, do you really believe that's only way to win a fight? I say this, that Naruto is considered to be a prodigy in his own right back in the Grigori. So much so that the higher-ups have actually considered to put his name on top as a possible candidate for being the new leader of the Grigori when all the older leaders decide to step down. Mai stated. Nanny, you mean he's that high up in ranks? Issei said in disbelief as he looked at the fallen angel, since he remembered during devil history lessons that angels and fallen angel are follow other angel, or fallen angel by the number of wings they have. Mai nodded, where she turned her gaze back at him. That's right. In fact, Naruto has led many S-rank missions on his own where they were all successful against the other factions and other religious cultures. Many comrades that have either 3 to 4 sets of wings have actually followed his command. He even has knowledge about some of the greatest secrets in all the 3 factions. So I doubt that the Rias girl would be able to push him far since he is stronger than he looks. In fact, that's the strange thing about it, Mai explained. What strange thing? Questioned Akino. Besides some of the leaders in the Grigori, no one knows how strong Naruto really is since he always show 1 or 2 sets of wings. That's the thing that been bugging me, and I have been trying to find out where I even asked my father about it, said Mai. Your father? Issei asked. My father, Shemhazai, answered Mai. This got immediate response from both Akino and Kiba, where they tense up about it. Is he noticed this, where he asked them on who he is? Shemhazai is one of the top leaders of the Grigori, where he is second in command of all the fallen angels. Kiba explained, where Issei looked nervous at Mai since she was the daughter of the second strongest fallen angel. The 10-minute mark was done, which Mai informed Naruto that he can go in. Naruto opened his eyes and immediately leapt into action. Naruto ran up and hopped from tree bark to tree back, like Jackie-chan, until he reached the thickest tree branch. He then used it to leap from tree branch to tree branch, where he made great distances in short amount of time. Seeing him leave, the others grew worried since what Mai said about Naruto might be true, where Rias and the others will have a hard time with Rias. After running for about 5 minutes, Rias and Kaneko had stopped to survey the surrounding area while waiting for Asia to catch up. As they finished looking around, Asia made it to their location, where she panted very hard. Ano Bucho? Asia panted out. Are you alright, Asia? Rias asked, which the girl nodded but was tired from the constant running. After checking on her bishop, she took a close look to see that this place was perfect since there was an open area while having bushes for hiding alongside trees for cover. Alright, this would be a good place to set up an ambush. Kaneko, please set up any traps you can around the area while I set up a place for Asia to stay put and rest and come out when needed. Rias ordered, where Kaneko did just that. Finding a good place to hide Asia, Rias told Asia to not come out unless is to move to another hiding spot or to heal both her and Kaneko. Nodding in agreement, she stayed put while Rias went to Kaneko and helped her finish setting up their ambush. When everything was set, both Rias and Kaneko hid in certain area where they waited for Naruto to appear. It didn't take long when Naruto appeared, but on the tree branch level. Damn, I thought he would run on the ground. I didn't think he'll leap here from above the trees. Kaneko didn't have enough time to place any traps up there, Rias thought. Seeing the area, Naruto looked around to see that this was a perfect place for an ambush. He was going to jump onto the ground when he noticed something. He decided to play it safe, where he launched several small light daggers at certain locations to reveal magical traps and such around the area. With that, Rias and Kaneko's work on ambushing him was now gone. He looked around to see something that made him sigh. After looking around a bit, he shook his head in disappointment. Alright, time to end this little game, Naruto thought. He summoned his chakram, where he took careful aim before he launched it, where a swirling / buzzing sound could be heard. The weapon hit several trees as it continued its distant voyage in the air, while Naruto leapt off the tree branch and landed on the ground, where he waited for a bit. Rias and Kaneko wondered on what he was doing since there was nothing around that area for his chakram to hit. However, they got the answer where they heard Asia scream. Kaneko and Rias look at the other direction where the chakram was thrown to see Asia barely dodging an attack. It wasn't until they saw the chakram that Naruto threw that they figured that Naruto's weapon must have ricocheted several trees and rock formations around the area where it came to Asia's hiding space. Asia heard the buzzing sound coming towards her where she saw the weapon coming towards her. She barely dodged the strike, but it forced her out of her hiding place. The weapon continued to bounce around a bit where the chakram came back towards Naruto where he caught it barehanded. Catching it, Naruto immediately attacked Asia with small light daggers as he threw them at the poor former nun. Asia saw the attack where she moved away from the attack. This is what Naruto needed since he threw his chakram at her again. It was then Rias yelled out loud, "Kaneko!" where the lowly girl jumped out of her hiding spot and attempted to land on top of the chakram. But before she could even reach it, the chakram split in half where it went to two different directions, continuing the cutting spin directly at Asia. As Kaneko leapt out of the tree, Rias came out where she attacked Naruto with her power of destruction. She attempted to blast him but saw Naruto move forward towards Kaneko. She attempted to try again but stopped when one half the chakram came towards her. She ducked down in time to let it pass by her where it hit a tree bark and continued its deadly spin back to Asia and Kaneko. Getting back up, she was suddenly surprised to see Naruto directly in front of her where he gave the red head an open palm strike at her stomach. This threw her back and hit a tree. She took a hard gasp of air as the strike gave her a lot of damage. Before she could even attempt to move, Naruto came back at her where she put up her guard. Naruto punched, strike, knee and kicked Rias's arms, stomach, and legs to the point where she was having a hard time standing but continued to dodge and block whatever she can. Getting another strike, it gave her some distance where she put up a barrier shield to protect her from another barrage of physical attacks. However, Naruto threw a light spear next to her which caused an explosion on her side, forcing her to land painfully on the ground. Naruto was going to finish her off but Kaneko leapt between the two where she took him on in hand to hand. Trying to save Asia, both noticed that Rias was getting beaten where Asia couldn't go and help her since she was moving around and dodging the chakram blades as best she could. Seeing their king in trouble, Asia told Kaneko to help her which Kaneko was hesitant but can see that Asia was barely able to miss the slashes and cuts where the uniform showed but no blood. Having a moment of thought, Kaneko did what Asia said where she moved directly towards Rias and Naruto since in the raiding game, if the king is taken out then it's game over. Jumping between the two, Kaneko began her fight against Naruto where they were both even in terms of kung fu. Unfortunately, it didn't last as Naruto dodged one of Kaneko's strikes where he then leapt back some distance where Kaneko followed. Getting closer to him, she was caught by surprise as Naruto quickly leapt towards her with greater speed which gave him the advantage in striking first. Being dazed a bit, Naruto took advantage where he hit the girl's small petite body. Aiming for the legs, Kaneko did her best to dodge them but Naruto performed street dance moves where he spun around in a crazy way where he did a spinning left back heel kick which Kaneko blocked but wasn't able to stop the straight punch to her stomach. With that, Kaneko was sent flying back against the tree. After spinning around, Naruto used his right hand to keep him balanced on the ground where he then landed on one knee. Naruto's attention changed back to Rias where he spotted her firing her destruction power at him, where he leapt into the air, performing a spinning flip. Rias fired several more blasts where Naruto easily dodged or stopped by firing several light spears at them. He then fired several spears away from her where she wondered on why. It was when she spotted Asia that she saw what he targeted. Asia was completely tired since the chakram was still spinning around her where she gained several cuts and slashes around her body. She could hardly move because of her exhaustion. She was about to try and maneuver around to help Rias or Kaneko when a few light spears struck around her that spread dirt around her, and pushing her towards a tree. Asia barely stood when the chakram returned and sliced her again, cutting the rest of her clothing off her where only a decent amount maintained her dignity. The chakram rejoined together where it came towards Naruto, as he moved closer to Rias. Naruto caught the chakram in his left hand as headed towards Rias where she moved back a bit but Naruto tossed his chakram where it split apart as Naruto continued to move forward. Rias tried to blast it but Naruto fired several light daggers around her that spread dirt around to cover the area again. It was then that she was slashed by the two chakram halves before going back to Naruto. He caught it where he then got to Rias in the Hell's Gate submission hold. Rias struggled to breathe as she tried to fight back but the pain and lack of air made it impossible. It wasn't long before she lost consciousness where Naruto let her go. Getting back on his feet, he looked around to see Kaneko too exhausted to stand back up. Asia was out cold from the attack and Rias was unconscious from his submission hold. "You lost," Naruto stated as he went to pick up the three girls. Mansion. Mai and the rest of Rias' peerage waited patiently as the sparring match between Rias' team versus Naruto continued on. They looked at the timer to see that only 40 minutes have passed by since it started. "I wonder how they're doing out there," Kiba wondered. I don't know, but judging by the explosions earlier, I say that Bucho must be doing well, Akino said. Before anything else could be said, Mai noticed someone was coming towards them from the forest. Coming out of the forest, they saw Naruto emerging out of the forest, but he was carrying Rias, Kaneko, and Asia with him. Naruto carried Kaneko under his left arm while balancing a groaning Asia, hanging in front of his body, over his left shoulder, while he held Rias over his right shoulder where he had his right hand holding her ass to keep her steady. Everyone else rushed towards their side where he gently placed all of them on the ground. Issei asked on what happened. They lost, I said, to attack me with the intent to kill, yet they weren't able to step up. Now then, there will be a 10-minute break. Once that's over with, it will be blue team turn. I hope you three are ready, since I'll be just as brutal with you three as I was with these three. Where all three saw his piercing eyes staring at them, where he then turned to his fellow fallen angel. Mai, take them inside where they can rest, asked Naruto. Right, Mai obliged, where she went to pick each one of them at a time. Evening. Mai finished preparing dinner where she announced it to everyone. Naruto was the first come down to the dinner table with his laptop where he was busy writing something down. Next was a groaning Rias, Akino, Kiba, Kaneko, Issei and Asia, where the last two needed help on getting to the dinner table. As everyone sat down, they all glared at Naruto, who sat on the other side with his laptop. While he was busy writing, they all couldn't help but be frustrated on how easy he defeated all them. After he defeated Rias and her team, Akino, Kiba, and Issei swore that they'll make sure that they would at least give him a good beating. Unfortunately, it ended terribly for them. Naruto had fought Kiba's swordsman and his demonic swords where he easily broken each one of them. Akino's thunder attacks were completely useless where Naruto redirected them towards Kiba, Issei, or back at Akino, which they either avoided it or got shocked. Issei's random fighting was easily broken, even with his sacred gear, where Naruto just put him down like a dog. In the end, all three fell down from exhaustion and fatigue where Naruto carried them back to the mansion. Their memories about what happened earlier were stopped when Mai came out of the kitchen where she set up dinner for everyone: home-style beef stew, mixed roasted potatoes with herb butter, mac and cheese, and finally cornbread. Everyone looked amazed as well as a little dumbfounded on the type of food that Mai made. Before anything, Naruto got his share where he looked at it before he looked back at Mai. What's with the food tonight? Did you have some sort of craving or something? Naruto asked. Yup, I had a craving for some American-style dinner, so I made this. So everyone, what do you think? Mai asked. Everyone had to agree that the food does smell good, plus it was something new for them. While everyone ate, they saw Naruto was still working on his laptop while eating his food. With dinner finished, Rias told the group that they're free to do for the night where they agreed to go to bed early. Before they could go, they heard Naruto speak out to them. Hold on. Before you go to bed, I would like everyone to head towards the living room where I would like to discuss something about the training that you're all going to be participating. So meet me there in 1 hour. That should be enough time for all of you to be ready. Naruto ordered where he picked up his laptop while Mai picked up his plate and headed towards the kitchen. Hour later. Everyone was sitting in the living room, wearing their sleeping clothes for the boys, sweatpants and short-sleeved tank shirt, while the girls wore either a nightgown or pajamas. Mai, on the other hand, was wearing long short-sleeved jersey shirt as her sleeping dress as she walked in the living room. After a minute or two, Naruto walked in, but in a very revealing sleeping attire. Naruto walked in wearing only sweatpants below his waist, while he was bare skin above his waist. He carried a bottle of water and a few sheets of paper in hand where he stood in front of everyone. Walking into the living room, Mai and the other girls couldn't help but blush since he did have the body that most guys would want to have. Issei glared jealously since he could see all the girls drooling a bit for him, or at least have a bit of a blush. It was there that Kiba looked at him and asked him, Senpai, why are you dressed like that? When Naruto looked at him confusedly. This is how I dress all the time when I go to bed. I feel comfortable being bare-chested in bed. Naruto replied before he coughed in his hand as he looked at all of them. Alright, now let's get to business. After today's training, I was able to witness on what level you're at as well as know your flaws. Naruto explained. You know, I could have told you that from the beginning. There was no need for you to be so rough in battle. Rias argued back. Talking and reading are one thing. Witnessing is another. By seeing how you each reacted in the situation I put you in, I was able to see and know how each of you would act on it. And with that, I was able to create a list on what you need to improve on as well as training regimen. Naruto retorted back. Everyone then noticed Naruto placing the sheets of paper on the coffee table in front of each person. Once he put them there, he walked to the center of the room so he can have everyone's undivided attention. Alright, those sheets are for all of you on what type of training regimen that you'll be doing for the next 10 days. Each thing written on it will have on what training regimen you'll be doing along with the person who will train with you. Naruto explained, where everyone picked it up and started to look down. Each person had their own different type of training style, where they either do basic exercises or some type of activity. As everyone looked over each one, Naruto got their attention again. Now I'm sure you are all wondering on why I've written down each kind of exercise, which I will explain by first from the king down to the pawn. Naruto stated as he looked at Rias. Rias, you've already shown to have a high spec on everything that included talent, physical ability and magic power. Even if you live normally as you currently are, those traits will rise and you'll become a candidate for being the highest grade devil when you become an adult. Naruto stated, which Rias hummed impressively at Naruto's static. Now, follow the training record on this sheet exactly, even all the way up to the battle day. Naruto ordered, where Rias decided to question her concerns. But besides this martial arts training, it doesn't seem all that special, though, Rias remarked. That's right, it's the basic training method. It would be enough for you since you already have everything except your hand-to-hand combat. From the fight earlier, I can see that you have a unique strategic mind. However, you barely were able to come up a plan on the fly. That's a problem for the quality of the king, who would soon seek brains over strength. Since this is going to be an all-out battle, you shouldn't worry too much about it, but for future raiding games, you'll need to learn everything about it. So I suggest, after your showdown with Riser, view past raiding games, learn all the data and images from it, and place it in your head. What you'll truly need in the future is now only strategy, but also quick-wittiness and judgment to defeat any kind of situation. Since you're the leader, you'll be in charge in bringing out and showing your servants full